Welcome you guys back to the CD Experience podcast with your host D
and Carlos.
Today we got a special guest. We got Aleks Makuch in the building. Say what's up.
Appreciate it. How y'all doing?
Pleasure having you today. So for you guys that don't know, we're all friends from high school. So yeah, man, like what you been up to?
Yeah, let's bridge the gap.
Yeah. Catch up.
High school, I used to play soccer, ECNL.
Right.
And I don't want to spend too much time on it. So played ECNL. We went down to the ESPN Wide World of Sports, tried to do a bicycle kick, do a backflip in soccer. Tore my piriformis, which is what connects your glute muscle to your hamstring.
Right.
And that was it. Mm-hmm. And then I got, around the same time, right as I was kind of trying to heal, and eventually then I couldn't play anymore. But at the same time, I started realizing, all right, I'm not doing this anymore, so let's get into cryptocurrency. And my dad kind of got me into that. We bought our first time at around the $3,500 mark. We actually kind of started seeing it as we were in Mexico. We were in Puerto Vallarta. We're like, oh, shoot, maybe it's time to get in. And I got a little bit into it. We kind of got more into it as high school progressed.
Right.
Although we did buy freshman year. That's when we bought Dogecoin with Zach Farr.
Yeah.
Very good on that. Went from half a cent to 68, 69 cents.
That's crazy.
So 135x, 140x returns.
Wild.
And what else? COVID hit. So we was doing a little bit of that. Then COVID hit. They threw us out of school in April of 2020.
Yeah, about.
And I actually caught it at 300 cases. Mm-hmm. And I was ringing the bell. I was telling, in flex class, I was telling them, hey, by the way, check this out. Only 300 cases. Keep in mind, no one's even heard of it yet.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, you might want to check this out. COVID threw us out in April. That's when I really started to connect the dots.
Right.
Saying, okay, certain individuals, certain groups, corporations, organizations, and governments are putting out narratives before certain events happen. And you start really reading into it. I kind of started diving deep into, at the whole time I'm still doing crypto. And I get into the kind of systematic failure that we're in here. I started to realize our system's broken educationally and financially, and one leads into the next.
Yep.
And I said, it's not really the best thing to stay in the old world system.
Yeah.
The get your degree, and again, nothing wrong with getting a degree at all if you love or know what you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
But we have such a broken system. You get your degree, you get your house, you get married. You have your 2.4 kids. You have your 1.3 dogs. Those are the statistics. You get your white picket fence, your house. Then you pay off your student debt. You pay off your house debt.
Right.
You retire, and then you die. Like, that doesn't sound too fun.
Right.
So again, COVID's happening as I'm realizing this stuff. That's kind of when I saw, okay, more things are coming down the pipeline. Maybe it's time to get ready. I dropped over 30 grand on physical preps, real preparedness items. Obviously, then I got into financial preparedness as I started making more. At the time, I didn't have that much, so I spent a good bit on the physical items.
Right.
And high school ended, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And as the whole time I'm figuring this stuff out, so I went to GTech. I was supposed to do a master's in sales and marketing, 2 years at GTech, then Clemson 2 more years for the master's, bachelor's. Bachelor's 4 year. Yep. And first day of GTech, drop out. And I'm like,
on the first day.
First day. Actually. I think I made it through 2 of 3 classes.
That's crazy.
And I said, because I started seeing patterns. I'm like, bro, this is high school.
Exactly. It's always the same BS. Because if you notice, going from middle school to high school, they're like, oh, you guys aren't prepared. Like, you guys don't know how hard high school is. Like, and then it feels the exact same as middle school. Like, they scared me from taking the hardest classes I could have taken, even AP classes, because they're like, oh, you really have to dedicate yourself. And every class I took that was supposed to be a hard class felt the exact same. Then same thing with college. They're like, oh, you guys aren't ready for college. Like, the work, you know how many books you're gonna have to read, this and that. And then it's the same exact shit.
Same garbage.
One day is crazy though.
Exactly.
I usually hear
2/3 of the day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But anyway, drop out right away. I text because my mom and I used to have a side business. Text an old client, and I'm like, hey, let me come clean your house. I mean, literally feet on the ground work. True. Make some side cash. Meanwhile, I'm still working my high school job,
right?
Even though I'm now out of high school, in that between high school / college period. And what else? Started stacking. Continued doing the preps around.
What do you mean by stacking?
Stacking cash.
Word.
Whatever I had. Yeah, I'm glad. Ask me everything because I'm going to say a lot of shit here
I got you.
that is not like common. But yeah, whole time, COVID's still going on, right? A lot of news is coming out all the time, and working, prepping. And then we get to 2022. I'm basically done with my preps. That's kind of when I finish. Okay. Right around as 2022 is popping in. Russia invades Ukraine, and we start seeing things kind of fall into place.
Right.
He's like, Pops, we're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready.
And again, this is just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So let me just say something.
Yes.
For you guys that don't know, obviously only me and D know this, but we shot a podcast last week. It didn't turn out how we wanted it to.
Yeah.
So we just thought we'd have him again this week. Have y'all catch y'all up again. Make sure he's valid or whatever on what he's saying. Me and D are trying to learn from him. I'm sure a lot of people could learn from him. So take whatever he says, man. Do your own research.
yes.
And always trust but verify. But I think everything he's saying is very valid. So
Now we
That's I'm glad you're so open with the viewers.
Yeah.
Because the shit we got into, I mean, we were just
Yeah,
gonna
it was-
chat, and I started
exactly.
saying what I've been researching.
Yeah.
But I was like, shit, if we want to kill this,
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah,
the
for
stuff
sure.
we're gonna cover,
For sure.
you
Yeah, no.
can't just fucking say.
bro, and like it's funny because like right afterwards I had a conversation with somebody. It was a very open conversation, but I started having trouble with
Facts.
like trying to help them understand and backing it up because I didn't have all the facts.
Yep.
So to them it was just like, nah, it's BS.
That's how
but
most people take it.
so I'm glad we're doing this, you know what I'm
I
saying?
almost didn't want to tell people because I felt like I couldn't like back myself up.
Bro, I wouldn't
With that stuff, yeah, you
I wouldn't have told everybody.
Not as educated as you.
You can't unless you know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it on hand. And I mean, this stuff again, you'll know a lot after we're done here, but you really have to read into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had to do a little bit of work. I had to prep some stuff because we're bridging the gap from
Exactly.
1900s up to now.
Yeah.
And that's so much info. As much as I've heard it before, your head will explode if
I
you
bet, bro.
somehow were to know
I
this
bet.
stuff down to the date by heart.
Right.
So again, and I've heard all of it, but eventually you have to kind of compile it, put it all together.
Yeah.
So anyway, Russia invaded Ukraine
Right.
in 2022. And shortly after that, we started seeing issues with the financial system. I started posting it on my story.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they saw it and appreciated it, and here we are.
Yeah, yeah, man.
sir.
That's
So
crazy.
That's kind of that gap there.
So
sir.
when you're talking about stacking bread, right? So you're investing, right?
So right now, yeah, perfect. So we did, we had the 2017 bull run in crypto. And again, I've mostly stayed in crypto. We played with stocks. You remember GMC?
Yeah.
Was the big ones.
Or AMC.
AMC,
Yeah, AMC,
GME. Yeah.
AMC, GME, GameStop, Sundial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I played a little bit with the stocks. We did actually really good on the Sundial one. Fantastic. That was my crazy January month.
That was your best
the
one?
16K in 1 month.
That's wild.
that's
solely due to that. I've never made
Did you
that.
cash out?
Half. About
Okay,
half.
that's
So
solid.
not horrible.
Yeah, that's
Solid.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
Again, good luck selling the top. No
Facts.
one can ever call it. The only time
Facts.
we've called the top was what? Doge? That's
Yeah.
about it. Again, Bitcoin. Yeah, so as to calling the top, we had the 2017, sold kind of on the halfway down. Again, not terrible. And then 2021, we had the second Bitcoin real bull run.
Yeah.
Bitcoin
Went
went from
crazy, bro.
so COVID crushed Bitcoin down to what, 3.5, 4K area,
Yeah.
right? 3.5. And then we got in very well. Bitcoin runs up in 2021 to 69,000.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah, that's
68,
wild.
69, 70,000, similar to Doge.
Yeah,
From half a
exactly.
cent to that 70 zone.
Crazy, yeah.
Bitcoin, same thing, 3.5
Yeah, that's true.
to 70K. And that was the mistake I made. We thought we were going to 200K.
Ooh.
That's what I
300K.
thought.
Ooh,
We all made that
yeah.
mistake. I got crushed. Last year, the
Damn.
crash finished itself out in
Yeah. I know
2022.
I know that hurt.
I bought at 69.
I know that hurt.
And I'll
That's
just
what I
bring it up here. I don't want to be saying shit without
bought at
backing it
69?
up.
Bro, yeah, I bought at
Holy.
60,000. That was right before I went to Peru.
You bought it at how much?
69. I swear, I have the
He needs a
proof.
sticker. I bought the top.
I actually want to make a t-shirt like that. I actually have proof too.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't cash out, and that's what happens. So on my Coinbase
that's-
account,
Yeah, I
just
saw
my
that, yeah.
Coinbase
What's
account.
that?
So this is my current balance.
Yeah, what's that at though? What's the peak?
My peak was 57,000
That's
just
crazy,
on my
yeah.
Coinbase account.
I deleted Coinbase.
talk
I
about
can't have
losing-
it.
Bro,
That's just
that
Coinbase.
sucks.
We lost on Binance and
Yeah.
whatever else we were using at the time, Huobi, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and Binance. Oh,
FTX.
we'll get into that. This is a little newer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This is a collector's item. But yeah, you must invest as much as you lose. You know, and here's some general tips. Never put in more than you can afford to lose, right?
Right.
So if you know you're going to be paying off college debt, car payments, etc., don't put in something that if you lose it, all of a sudden, oh shit, I can't pay my car, I can't pay my house, my school, right? But if you have side cash, cash is trash unless it's moving, making money.
Exactly.
Unless you see something that's coming, that's kind of what I'm doing now. Stack up, and then when it's time, pull the trigger. But if you never pull the trigger and you just let cash stack up, inflation's it's the hidden tax.
Facts.
It will eat you alive.
Facts.
So you have to be constantly multiplying, investing, and why, right?
Right.
Because you're just going to work till you fucking die. Unless you make 200K plus a year, you're going to work. Again, 100K a year, you're going to work basically till retirement.
And to get to 200, most people that do the traditional way and work up the ladder, bro, that's at least 10 years.
To get to that
Bro,
zone.
at least with most jobs. So I think that's like I can't do all that. So
And that goes back to that whole work, retire, kids,
like
paid off,
you
die.
wait till you're 65 to retire, and then what? You got 15 years left of good life, maybe.
And what your health, and
Exactly.
talk about good life,
Exactly.
your health starts deteriorating.
Exactly.
Imagine you just retire, all of a sudden your body starts failing.
Exactly.
Oh shit, what did I work for?
How perfectly planned is that?
It's again, and the system is so broken.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about all the broken parts of it. But again, those general tips on investing: never put in more than you can afford to lose. Never use leverage, and we'll not go too much into detail on leverage, but it's basically a multiplier.
Right.
And if it hits, you're going to do fantastic. If it does not hit and you're wrong, you're going to go into debt.
Yeah.
Big time. You can kill yourself in leverage. So don't use it unless you know really what you're doing. Again, 97% of traders fail.
Do you think right now is a good time to get into that? Like
Into what?
Just trading, putting your money in somewhere. Do you think there's like good enough?
There's
stocks
always something
still?
to invest in.
Yeah, I agree.
But you have to find it.
Yeah.
Again, I've kind of chosen where I'm going to throw my stuff next.
Yeah.
And that is going to be crypto again. Unless real estate crashes so badly, 50%, 60% down, and a 2008 repeat or worse.
Right.
That, then I'll buy a rental property or maybe a bigger property that I'll live in, and then I'll rent out 3 rooms, right? But most likely it's going to be crypto. I guess car market crashes by a nice car for a huge discount. People are going to start losing these things.
Yeah.
They're going to lose them when the stuff happens.
What about like commodities like gold?
Oh, fantastic. Gold, silver, they're insurances. They're not really investments unless we have a full-blown collapse, right? And I guess the best way to explain that is, they're hedges against the dollar, this old system we have. So, let's say the dollar implodes like it's going to, right?
Right.
Gold skyrockets from 2,000 an ounce to 10,000. $10,000 now, right? For an ounce of gold. But the dollar's so devalued that $10,000 is now worth the same as that 2,000. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a maintenance. It's a safe haven of value. It maintains value. It doesn't necessarily appreciate if we go down that route.
That makes sense.
And they're not huge returns. Gold bounces between 1,500, 22, 17, 21. Again, you're not making. If you want to get somewhere,
You have to put a
and that same with stocks. Same with stocks. Retirement accounts, all this trading stuff, unless you're making percentages that are truly compounding and growing you in an exponential fashion, you're just going to make some side cash. You might get enough to buy a car or help on your house payments, but you're not going to get to some
It won't be enough.
extreme amount.
Yeah.
You're not
To
gonna
like where
free
you
yourself.
retire, exactly.
And again, retirement accounts going to zero. When this starts, retirement accounts will go to zero. Roth IRAs are shit. 401ks are shit. Where are 401ks? Where are they? Where are the underlying assets placed? You know where they're in? They're in the stock market.
Oh, really?
Your stock market starts tanking, your 401ks go down.
Do you know anything about how? So I heard this guy talking about how it was either Roth IRAs or 401ks that they were never designed to be a retirement fund, and they don't have all the back end to retire everybody that's coming in this next
Correct.
generation.
Yep. Just like the disappearance of pension funds.
Yeah.
When these, exactly. Oh, you're talking about the baby boomer generation.
Yeah.
Exactly. When the boomers now, they're retiring, they're going into the homes. When that whole generation tries to exit, that's another thing.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
They're
They're
going to
get hit
fraction.
bad.
And that's a huge thing. Again, this will all be taken care of by a major event. But yes, if this was allowed to play out naturally, that would happen. That would happen, and you'd have a huge run run, who can get their stuff out first.
Exactly.
And that's similar to what's happening with the banks. So, and that's I guess we could segue into the juicy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Why you need to invest, why you need to prepare, and most importantly, financial preparedness.
Right.
Because the system is collapsing and is about to collapse. So I guess we shall get into that and we'll do a little demo.
Educate me.
We'll do a little history.
Educate me.
Okay,
If we can piece this together, because we're going to try and paint a picture.
Yeah, he got $1 out?
Yeah, educate
We
me.
can paint a picture. A whole United States crispy piece of shit, right? Fugazi.
Cereal.
It's fiat. It's not real, right?
It's given value by us.
Yeah, it's given value. Now, it used to have value, right?
Yeah.
You know, we used to not have the Federal Reserve.
Right, yeah.
1913, the Federal Reserve is created. That's what happens when you give a central entity control of monetary policy. Right away, half of the dollar's value is gone. Used to just be the treasuries would issue, and regional banks they would work with the treasury, and that would kind of run our policy. But Federal Reserve created in 1913, you lose half. Right?
That's crazy. That's after before the gold standards.
There you go. We're not even there yet.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Perfect.
That's crazy.
Great segment. 1944, right? FDR, Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. There we go. Got so much shit you start forgetting.
Yeah.
Names. FDR 1944 puts us on the gold standard. Fantastic, right? We're already devaluing still.
Right.
Even though he puts us on the gold standard, we're already losing value. But it kind of slows things down, right? We start working with the UK, a lot of our sister, brother countries that have kind of joined together after the whole World War II event, right? So we've got our gold standard now. We're doing okay. We lost some value, but we kind of chilled it out.
Right.
Nixon, 1971. The Bretton Woods Agreement gets taken off. Now, gold standard is gone. We're down to this shit. Right?
What was the agreement?
The Bretton Woods Agreement,
Yeah.
that was the gold standard between all the countries.
Okay.
And by all the countries, I mean the main ones kind of in control at that time, and they've been in control up until about now with what's happening with China, Russia, BRICS. But the U.S., France, Britain, Germany, right? Australia, New Zealand, kind of the crown. Think of the old British crown,
Right.
plus the superpower, us, the U.S., and I guess Canada's a big ally, right? Yeah. So gold standard is now gone. You've got this left. About 75% is gone.
That's crazy.
You got some chunk change here, but we're down to this, right? How did we maintain? How did this stay number one, right? This somehow has been the world reserve currency this whole time, and how would this piece of shit stay as number one even though we've devalued it? It's because the gold standard is gone, but we're being kept up by the fact that the U.S. has proved itself as a dominant force. People see security in us because we're now the number one economy in the world, and we have the best military, and if someone has trouble, we go and we help them.
Exactly.
Fly our troops in. We'll give them loans. And people find security in that. They like it, right? So not only that, but we start loaning it out. We start loaning a little bit here, a little bit there. Here's another 400 billion. Here's $500 billion. Boom. Disappearing, right? So now you've got this piece of shit. But again, it's keeping its value because people still, like you said, they give it value. They see security in it. This tiny piece of shit has somehow maintained. And the oil around the world, which runs the world, if you don't know, it's basics. Oil controls the world, runs it, and it starts getting traded in dollars, and it's solely traded in dollars. The petrodollar, that's where that comes from. So because we have military dominance and we're the reserve currency, oil is traded in our currency, somehow this still maintains value. Everything's fine. We've loaned out cash to everybody.
It's by debt, right? That's why we keep our value?
Yeah. This is a debt system.
Exactly.
It's debt-based.
And then it's crazy because, like, okay, so we put all these countries in debt, and why can we keep on top? Because we can just keep printing this money that we're giving everybody. So
and it's all fine. We've funded everyone. We've loaned out billions and billions of dollars to everyone around the world. U.S. is killing it. Everyone's, in fact, killing it, right? We've boosted people's economies. They needed money to build roads, infrastructure, this, that, funded their systems. It's all good. 2008 comes around, right? So you've got 08. Now in 1960, and by the way, this infected 08 was not just, it started here, but it infected everyone, right? Because people freaked out because they're like, uh-oh, this guy who loaned us all this money is all of a sudden getting screwed. So 08 comes around, and this is when MBS kicks in. So MBS are mortgage-backed securities. In the 1960s, the banks came up with mortgage-backed securities. So, your home loans, your mortgages.
Right.
So the people the banks took thousands and thousands of mortgages, people loaning, They would bundle it together, right? So imagine a bundle of thousands of mortgages. They call that an MBS. And you'd have levels to these MBS. So you'd have, let's see if I can kind of demonstrate here. So you'd have MBS A class, B class, C class, right? A class being high value, low risk loans, right? People with great credit scores, good jobs. It's basically guaranteed they're going to pay off their loan, pay their monthly payments, interest, all that, right? B class, kind of your middle to low middle class. They're most likely going to pay their stuff, and then you're kind of guaranteed, but there's a small chance they might not pay monthly, but it's okay still.
Right.
Kind of in the middle. You have your C class crap, right? This is people with scores under 500.
Right.
Credit scores under 500, low
High
income.
risk.
Yeah, high risk. Yeah. Now, how does investing work? High risk, high reward. Low risk, low reward. Everything's working fine. No problemo. Yeah, we're going to piece this whole together.
Makes sense.
Everything's okay. Payouts are happening. You know, again, these are securities now, so it's essentially banks betting on these groups of thousands of mortgages getting paid each month, people paying out, right? So your A's, your B's, your C's, they're paying out. Everyone's making money. Everyone's happy. People are getting homes, this, that, okay? But we have greedy fuckers in the system. The banks can never say enough is enough. So they got really greedy and said, how can we pull all this together to make as much as possible and start getting these high risk, high reward payouts in these $1 trillion low risk, low reward classes? So what they did was they took them all, they stacked them up, pulled it all together, and they created what's called a CDO, a collateralized debt obligation. So instead of individual crap, you now have this tower, right? They took the tower, they added it all up, and they had tranches, right? Tranches are kind of the levels to it, right? So we'll kind of divide this nicely here. Your C would be at the bottom, highest payouts. Your B, middle payout in the middle. At the top, you'd have your A, your low risk, low reward. But because it's all pulled together now, they're getting high payouts on the whole entire bundle, right? Now, how is that allowed? Well, they'd go to the rating agencies, which would kind of give the name and allow this stuff to happen. They'd go on Wall Street, they'd go to Moody's, and they'd say, yeah, we need this rated. The problem is 90% of the stack, this is not thirds, 90% of the stack would be C garbage loans. Low credit scores, people who might fail on their payments. It's 90% of that shit in it.
Right.
You have a little bit of B and you'd have some A on top to call it A rated.
Right.
Well, the ratings agencies, because in the investment world, it's sexy to call it diversified.
Right. Yeah.
So all they'd have to do is say, oh, you got C, B, and A together. It's now diversified. That's sexy. And that gave him the excuse. And it's so corrupt. They'd pay these rating agencies to call it AAA. This pile of shit, which is mostly C-rated,
AAA.
all of a sudden is AAA.
That's crazy.
It's now AAA gold, even though its underlying asset is a bunch of dog shit. Right?
Let me ask you something. So this is what they did to fix the 2008 crash.
No, this is what caused it.
Okay.
So we're we're almost there.
Okay.
So this is what caused it. Instead of keeping those groups separate, they've now bundled it all up together.
Makes
right?
sense.
So now those payouts are insane. Banks are reaping profits. I mean, you've got these MBS guys, mortgage-backed securities, running these CDO baskets, right? And they eventually, then they started putting these they started grouping these together into bigger towers. They called it CDO squared. It got so insane. I mean, they're reaping profits though. They're making hundreds of billions. These monthly payouts for the banks are massive. The brokers, I mean, they're getting helicopters. They're literally jetting around New York City because they're getting dumb rich because they've rigged it essentially. Right? Well, the inevitable happened, right? In 2008. Eventually, those C-class shits started to fail because it's garbage, right? So you've got, FICO scores under 500, school teachers buying their second house, $500,000 homes. Again, this was a free house period.
Right.
This was free house period. 0% down on a $500,000 house.
That's crazy.
And Florida kind of really kicked it off, right? And people started seeing, oh, it's bad. So the failures started happening. And again, what's at the bottom? What's holding the whole thing up? A bunch of shit. Nothing real. So you got crap credit scores. You got teachers buying 2 homes. You got no percentages down, ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages. Boom. All of a sudden, the whole entire thing falls. And instead of having it separately, if shit fails, it just destroys the other shit.
Yeah.
But everything was stacked together.
Yeah.
All stacked together, and it brought down the entire system. And that, banks, minus 50%. Stock market gets destroyed. Unemployment, 10%. I mean, they turned what should have just been a housing crash into a financial disaster.
Yeah.
And that's where you get 08. And that's kind of just the intro to how these people rig the system.
Damn.
So that's your 08.
So they rigged the system. How they kind of get it back?
This is where we got our addiction to money printing, right? So this is where we start printing money. QE.
Okay.
Remember by the way, so the banks got in trouble, right, for all this?
Yeah, I want to say. Yeah.
No.
They didn't?
Yeah.
No.
They didn't get in trouble.
The banks, two banks went under, Lehman Brothers and I believe Washington Mutual.
Uh-huh.
And I believe one guy from, if I'm not mistaken, it was HSBC or UBS went to jail. Everyone else, scotch-free, totally good to go. That's how fucked the system is, and we're going to get into that.
That's crazy.
Why nobody got in trouble. But not only do they not get in trouble, even though they caused this, they get bailed out. Remember the bank bailouts of 08. So all of a sudden we start QE, and again, they use these big words so your average American can't figure this shit out. It's just money printing.
Yeah.
The Treasury issues bonds. The Federal Reserve will then buy the bonds from the banks. They're injecting liquidity cash into the system, and that's how they start saving it, right? So as it's happening, that fall, that crash already started. 2008, okay, emergency meeting, $500 billion printed. QE1, right?
Damn.
Quantitative easing 2, 2010, $600 billion. Printing more cash, right? 2012, kind of like a final round, they did $40 billion over 4 months, and somehow they rescued it, even though it was not really a rescue, it was a false pump, but they saved it. The world chilled out. Everyone said, okay, we're doing good. We're booming again now, right? 08's over. As bad as it was, people started seeing,
How long did that last?
The effects?
Yeah.
Well, the crash was what? The crash was a flash crash. I mean, within a year, it basically bottomed out. But the effects on the market, I believe you could still buy the bottom around 2013, 2014. Oh, shit. That's what we were talking about in private. The here in Greer, we saw those. My dad saw those houses in 2013, 2014. Yeah, it was a row of 4 houses, like 2-bedroom, 2 baths, 40K each. For like 40 or 50K each, I think.
That's crazy.
Is that's
you said 40. Yeah,
40K each. Yeah. So 4 houses, 40K each, 2-bedroom, 2 bath. That's a $160,000 investment, dude.
That's not even one.
We drove by there, and you go on Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com. They're like, I think pushing 200K each now. Now they're nice houses, but they're not $200,000 houses. The market's so inflated. Again, that was the time to buy. So when you buy these crashes, that's when you have to. But they did the QE, the money printing crap. All is good. The world's back to let's forget that happened, right? Just let's wipe it under the carpet. The banks are still good guys, right? Because people forgot. People have the attention span and memory of a goldfish today, right? So they forgot someone fucked them, and they're wondering. I mean, there were people got messed up in 08. Huge layoffs left and right, losing your houses. So we're good now, right? And we hit 2020. So the magical year.
So let me ask you this. Yeah. So for the 08 crash, they didn't have no foundation. They didn't have no kind of safety line if everything fell, because it was all together. So if one fell, everything else was going to fall. Correct. Do we have a safety line now with the new way we're doing it?
No.
So that makes sense. That makes sense.
No safety.
So that's why we're probably going to crash again.
We'll hit that on. And again, at this time, it's more than just housing.
Yeah.
Those CDOs that we had in that 08, they never stopped. They renamed it. Now it's called a BTO. It's a bespoke tranche opportunity. Just more fugazi fucking wording. It's the same fucking thing. Now it's just a BTO. CDO, BTO. BTO. They're just more shit. And that's why you see now CMBS failures happening in commercial mortgage-backed securities. But anyway, they saved it with all this shit. And yes, it's still rigged, but they did their printing. And it's all doing good. World is killing it. Yeah. Our economy was booming. I mean, 2019. Remember, everything. Stocks killing it. Travels up. People have excess cash, right, to spend, to buy, which in return boosts the economy even more. COVID hits, right. Not to get into COVID policy or anything, because that would be a 4-hour-long podcast.
Sure.
Right.
But there were other ways they could have done it besides doing the lockdowns. There were other methods, to handle the spread of the virus than locking down and shutting down the economy, because they killed it. The worldwide economy went into cardiac arrest. So what they do, they brought out, you remember the lockdowns, how bad it was. The travel stocks, dead.
Crazy.
Died. Average companies, Walmart, they actually kept going. Megacorps kept going.
Right.
But it was slaughter across most parts of the economy. Small businesses got destroyed, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Like movie theaters and all that.
Yeah.
destroyed.
And you saw Amazon profits, everything took up.
Yeah,
That's what you saw the kill off though of small business, travel, and in general, it was horrible. I mean, the economy's shut down, so they brought out, we had a cardiac arrest on the economy. They bring out the defibrillator, right? The thing that zaps you or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they bring that out. And now what is that?
Life.
They brought out QE4, quantitative easing round number 4. How much did they print? Do you know? Take a guess.
I want to guess.
I'm gonna say.
So, we did the 500 billion, the 600 billion, and then we did 4 months of 40. So what do you think they did in to the emergency round during COVID?
1.5 trillion.
I say 5 trillion.
Good. Yeah. Okay. You have no hope in the system. That's good. We did $6 trillion.
6 trillion
in under 2 years.
6 trillion.
6 trillion. We printed nearly a third of all money in existence.
What?
Within 2 years.
That's crazy.
So they dug their own grave.
Yeah.
The Fed dug their own grave. We just printed all the shit. Oh, and not only did they print $6 trillion, $6 trillion fucking dollars. Okay.
Right.
That's crazy. But people don't understand because even like me, it's not hitting me that hard. But 6 trillion, that's crazy. That's crazy. If you don't know how much that is, go look up a video of the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion.
That's
and that'll show you.
1 million millions.
That's crazy.
It's a million millions or 1,000 billions. And they did 6 of those.
That's crazy.
In under 24 months, right? So they print all this shit out, but people wonder why the fuck we have inflation all of a sudden, right? Yeah. Not only that, they drop rates to 0, right? So now they've printed all this shit out. Inflation is kicking off. And around, when do we exit COVID? Kind of last year, somewhere around the middle. The fear kind of died down. And the virus chilled out. So come March of last year, 2022, they say, okay, shit, it's starting to get bad. We might need to, in regards to inflation, time to start pulling this back in, right? So the QE, it saved the economy, but in return, it's killing us through inflation.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, because zero rates means free money, they start pumping the rates up. In a little over a year now, between March of last year and where it's basically been a year, they went from 0% rates to 5%, where we're at right now, which is really fast increase.
Yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
And inflation has barely chilled out, right? We're not seeing massive improvement.
Yeah.
That's because they're in a lose-lose scenario. It's a lose-lose scenario because what happens now? They have 2 options and both are screwed. This is why another part of why it's going to get so ugly. If they raise rates even higher now to cancel out the inflation, to really stop it. Let's say they raise rates from 5 to 10 or even higher, 10% plus rates. This is 1987 style. The only time we've seen that. What happens? All that work they did fixing the economy, layoffs take off if they raise rates. You saw the layoff starting.
Yeah.
That would be a fraction of what would come if they were to raise rates to 10% or higher.
So why would layoffs go crazy if layoffs happen?
If they raise the rates, if they raise the rates, layoffs take off because all of a sudden lending drops, right? People won't be able to borrow as much money. Corporations won't be able to borrow as much.
I got. So they won't be able to pay that.
So all of a sudden your home mortgages, home rates used to be at what, 3% and change. Now it's 6% to mortgage a house, right?
Even so like cars.
Yeah, exactly. It hits cars as well.
Yeah,
cars
are
always
it's bad, right? It's bad.
7.1% on houses, 6.9% on a car.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden, people stop borrowing. They can't get homes. Corporations can't borrow as much anymore. The banks are no longer as making much money because they're not loaning out because no one can borrow, right? So the whole system slows down. It's a tightening. That's why they call it quantitative tightening, right? In opposite to when they're easing, right?
Yeah.
So they can raise rates and kill the economy, but stop inflation. And again, the only thing keeping us up right now is what they did during COVID. We will revert if they were to raise rates and in hopes of trying to stop inflation. Or the other option, also a death scenario, is they cut back to 0. If they cut back to 0 with what's happening with inflation right now, and they were to go full-blown money printer, the Jerome Powell Burr memes or whatever.
Right, yeah.
If they were to go that mode now and 0% rates, you'd see hyperinflation. We have inflation right now.
It's going to be like Germany.
Weimar Republic. Weimar Republic, you'd be wiping your ass with cash. That's why I brought a little bit of this, because a copy paper from fucking Office Depot is worth more than this. This is what happens when you freaking print cash. This is Venezuelan Bolivar. You know what happened in Venezuela?
Yeah,
That's what happens when you overprint with nothing to back. This is worth nothing. Literally, you need freaking wads of this to buy a loaf of bread, some milk at the store.
What happened in Venezuela? For the people that don't know.
A corrupt communist government that can't manage their monetary policy, print shit out of thin air. That area has even more to do with corruption.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
And the sad part is we're just as corrupt, except here under the guise of democracy and you're voting for your elected leaders. You don't see it until you start looking, and then holy shit, it's obvious. So that's what will happen if they were to go to zero. It's a dead end, lose scenario.
So I was talking to this guy, and he was telling me how he sent me this video. This is the guy I was kind of having a conversation about this with, and he sent me this video of why the U.S. dollar will not fail, and it was talking about how
it's good.
He said that we're just so dominant. Like when you look compared to like BRICS,
He's smiling so hard.
China and Russia, we're so dominant that it would take a lot and a long time for us to like lose that dominance that we have over every other country. Like he was pulling up charts and everything, and I mean, it was good information. But so, what do you got to say about that? Because we're like, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you know, but like with numbers, we're like very much on top of any other country, and nobody's close. We're like Canada's probably the closest country to us, or Britain. Like China's not close. China's pretty bad
in regards to
their economy. As far as you know, how we're the dollar value.
GDP.
Yeah. Damn, I don't know. You guys are gonna have to keep talking. I'm gonna look at the video because it was. I don't know. I'll pull up the chart, but it was just we're so dominant when it comes to our economy compared to every country that he just couldn't see how we would fall off of that.
Right. Well, we were, and his dad is old because we're almost not.
Yeah.
Because China is right behind us. We're at about 20 trillion GDP. They're somewhere around 18. They're going to surpass BRICS, by the way. For people that don't know, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other groups are already joining it. Their GDP in comparison to the G7, which is our group of seven, you know, your NATO bloc, us, France, Germany, UK, Australia. The BRICS versus the G7. Sorry, we have Japan in that group too. BRICS has already surpassed us. They've already surpassed us. So that right there is false. BRICS has already beat us in terms of GDP. And as Carlos was saying, if we're so dominant, right? And what does that do to what we were saying earlier? Because our dollar's trash, right? But we're number one because of military power. We provide security. And the fact that we're trading oil worldwide in dollars, and we're the world reserve currency, right? That's the only thing. Well, to segue into what happened with Ukraine and Russia, when Russia invaded Ukraine, what did we do? We threw sanctions on them. We threw sanctions and we said, okay, we're going to freeze your assets, and all that money you owe us, the debt you have to us, is now canceled, void. You're defaulting on your debt. In return, they take a huge hit monetarily because they're not allowed. They can't repay us anymore. So other countries, Russia's allies, BRICS, starts realizing all of a sudden, we're financial prisoner. Everyone that we've loaned to, they start realizing we're a financial prisoner to the U.S. And if we do one thing that the U.S. doesn't agree with, whether that be an invasion or some kind of policy change, the U.S. can cancel our debt, and we're the U.S.'s bitch. And it was kind of a genius game plan by the U.S. That's what we've done. We've imprisoned everyone through loading out money.
That's why we messed up Cuba so bad.
So enter, World War III and enter, I guess, the Russia, Ukraine, Taiwan situation, right, with China over there. Basically, BRICS really quickly united. They got together and said, okay, shit, this is what's happening. We're financial prisoner. What we just said, what's holding up the U.S.? Military dominance, world reserve currency, due to the petrodollar being traded in USD. So if we can prove that the U.S. is no longer dominant, number one, militarily, and if we can get oil to start trading in some other currency, all of a sudden we no longer need the dollar will collapse, but we'll be out of it, and the U.S. is not going to do shit about it. Because if they try to, what are they going to do? Invade us?
Yeah, they can't.
Because we're now dominant. Right. So if they can prove, and they don't have to invade the U.S. or anything, or the U.S. doesn't have to go over there. They have to just prove that China can take Taiwan and that NATO does not succeed in preventing Ukraine from falling. Now that's the game plan there. If we can somehow prevent Ukraine from falling, we'll keep some credibility. But I genuinely don't think that we'll be able to save both Ukraine and Taiwan. So I really don't see it.
So another argument was that our military is the biggest military. Is that true or not?
Our Navy's not anymore.
Okay, the Navy's
now
not.
by quality, I do agree. We still have the highest quality gear.
Okay.
For sure.
So
there's no doubt about it.
Because we were comparing it to Russia. We were talking about how why hasn't Russia just been able to run over Ukraine? Yeah.
Russia is not the beast that people say it is.
Yeah.
First of all, China is. I can't even. I prefer not to compare Russia to China. China has unlimited troops.
Yeah.
And if they had to pull the draft, they could pull. I believe it was 50 million. They could pull.
That's something we can't do.
We can't do that.
Yeah, it would not work here.
Their systems in their military are still. They're actually. It's a fighting force. You look at what we've done, and not to go down any side street, but what we've been putting out, the policies in our militaries, we've gone so soft in our forces, and we've been donating everything to Ukraine, to other countries. We don't have the reserves that these guys do. Yes, we have the tech, but we're no longer the same force that we used to be. And if they all ganged up on us, I don't think it's going to be like not that I think it won't be like World War II, where we're able to fight two fronts, unless somehow we got all of NATO to kick in. It's not the U.S. it used to be, and I do believe we have no chance over in China when it comes to Taiwan. Because imagine, their home force is right there.
Yeah.
We'd have to bring so much stuff in over that huge ocean. It's not a little pond. The Pacific is gigantic.
Yeah.
Try moving a force over. China's just got to hop that little strait. They can shoot rockets into it.
Yeah.
So they've realized that.
So you're saying we don't have the reserves that we used to have anymore?
We don't have the fighting capabilities.
Okay.
We don't have the advantage.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. It's not that we've necessarily, yes, we have gone a little worse.
Yeah.
We still have great tech, but they've caught up.
Okay.
It's the only thing that was keeping it. They've always had numbers. China's always been a huge country population-wise, but their tech was shit. But they've been taking tech. Everyone's been either developing their own or spying and taking shit from the U.S. So it's not necessarily that we've gotten totally destroyed, which we're going down, but they've caught up so well that it's no longer like U.S. is going to roll over them. You know what I mean? This is not North Korea. China has a proper, and as much as China is communist, they're communist socially, politically, economically, they're capitalist as hell. I mean, they are booming as an economy. They kill. Look at their cities. Our cities we have cool cities. Look at China. Their cities make ours look like a joke. Shanghai, Hong Kong, even though it's technically not Chinese, but under jurisdiction, right? Beijing, Shenzhen. I mean, from like 2050, these cities make us look like a total joke.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I got this chart pulled up here.
Okay.
It's talking about the most used currency in the world for international payments from
Swift.
January 2019 to January 2023. The US dollar is 45% of everything.
Correct.
Compared to China, which is the Chinese currency, which is what they're using for BRICS, which is at 1.33%.
Yep.
How is it that they're going to go from 1% and overtake what do you think on that? Because that seems like
how do we get from there to there?
Yeah. How do they get from there to there?
How do we lose and they get on top through World War III? So again, we're in the final stages of our dominance. We're still dominant. It hasn't happened yet, but we're on the verge.
It just takes a drastic.
So, I don't know if it's going to be 2 years. Some are saying 2025.
Yeah.
I'm saying as to how long the war lasts.
Yeah.
Right. But most likely by 2030, the whole system's going to get flipped. And by that time, you're going to see U.S. dollar dominance disappear completely. Now, am I saying we're going to be third world? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to turn into Zimbabwe.
Right.
I mean, who the hell knows at this point? I don't think so, though. That wouldn't be realistic. But we're not going to be killing everyone. Maybe we maintain 10%. I honestly don't think so because people hate us so much at this point.
They do.
Because we've turned everyone into our bitch. We've bullied the world.
Yeah.
And I'm pro-American. I love America. But what our government has done is fucking disgusting. We've imprisoned everyone financially. Facts. And when they break out, that flip right there is going to go like this.
So what you're saying is it's going to take a major world event like a World War III for it to happen.
And that's what World War III is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Besides just taking territory and settling disputes, that's what World War III truly is.
So what do you think is going to kind of spark World War III?
It's either... See, because we're going to have two fronts, possibly three. Front one being Europe. Yeah. Front two being Asia, the Taiwan situation. And front three being the Middle East, Israel, Iran.
So you don't think the war's going to be here?
As to an invasion?
Yeah.
There's some people out there that say that.
Yeah.
I think it's far-fetched. I don't think you can invade the U.S. now at the rate that we're declining.
Yeah. And there's no reason to, I feel like, because
we're
so separated from all over there in the world that it's kind of everything's happening over there. I feel like if they just kind of figured it out over there and left us out of it, we'd be more screwed than them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think it would get to that point where we actually end up with Chinese troops here.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, there is a Chinese military base now in Mexico right across the border.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that gets you thinking a little. I don't, there's conspiracy theorists out there like Chinese troops on the ground in your streets by 2025. I don't think we're going that hardcore.
Yeah.
I think this is more of it's financial. We're going to get destroyed. We'll lose on the monetary policy and we'll lose on the actual battles over there. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're going to end up with troops here.
That's good. So I was asking that just because those were the questions I was struggling to answer. Mm-hmm. Like, are we going to be overtaken by that much of a percentage change? And a major event like World War III makes complete sense.
Exactly. It'd have to be the uprooting of our dominance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the only way it's going to happen is we're going to have to really get crushed. I mean, we're going to have to lose basically both fronts.
Yeah. Okay. And it has nothing to do with the fact that BRICS is backed by gold, right?
Not really.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
because I thought that
looks good for them. That's just a small part that makes them look better.
Yeah.
So right away, that already does make them look better, and that's a part of it. Yeah. But the biggest idea is. And they'll do what we did. They'll do gold standard for a little. Eventually, history repeats. Yeah. Watch by 2100, they'll be back off.
Yeah, and
that makes sense. But then again, we'll be on blockchain tech by then.
Yeah,
that's good.
But yeah, it's the fact that we'll lose our military dominance, and by the way, France is already buying oil or yuans, so it's starting already. Yeah. It is already starting. Other countries are too. But yeah, the uprooting of oil. Ridding of the dollar and the trade of oil, petrodollar disappearance, and our military dominance.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. Yes, sir.
Bad. So you think it'll get to the point where we're carrying like millions of cash?
I don't think so because and we're getting there. Yeah. We're getting there slowly. There's a solution to all of this. There's a big solution.
Cyber attack.
Yeah. Don't jump the gun.
I got you.
I do want to hit fractional reserve banking.
Okay.
Yeah.
See this stuff, and I'm glad we kind of like roughly have an idea of where we're gonna hit stuff. Yeah, it's not easy to like stay in,
facts,
because you have to piece it all together. Yeah. So what do we have? So we're at the point where the dollar has been devalued.
Yeah.
Over the years, everything was good. We loaned people out money. We had our 2008 crash. Mm-hmm. We started printing even more. We bailed everybody out. Stuff went back to normal again. COVID, we buried ourselves. We basically signed our own death sentence by reprinting. Now the Fed has two options. Both, it's a lose-lose scenario. Other countries started seeing kind of that the system's effed and they're prisoners to us. Yeah. World War III plays into that, and that's roughly what it's about. World War III will free others from us, and it'll get World War III out the way. That's been overdue.
Holy.
And
it has been overdue.
And I guess before we hit kind of the solution to all of it, who's doing it and why, when this stuff happens, what are people going to do? They're going to try and pull their money out, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go to the bank.
Yeah.
So we have what's called fractional reserve banking. You'll know what that is or no?
No.
That's what our system's built on. That's what the U.S. is built on. So let's do a little demonstration because this makes stuff so much easier, and we'll talk about it too. So
I pulled out a few Benjis for those listening.
Bank, right? I'm the U.S. So Carlos, you've worked your ass off, right?
Appreciate
and I guess while we have a grand out, here's a cool statistic we talked about as he takes it. You must be from Bank of America. Hold on to that, right? So while we have a grand out, before we'll do a little demo, remember the statistic that I believe I posted it a little bit ago?
Yeah.
57%, over half, I don't remember exactly what it was, but over half of working age Americans could not afford to have $1,000 emergency expense. Could you imagine that?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So let's just take our median, what's our average salary here? 50 something, right?
50,
53, 50, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine you make 50K a year. Yes, I know times are tough, right? And I know inflation's bad, but you have to be, no offense, fucking a moron to not put money away.
Yeah.
If you can't
at least
afford
$1,000.
You make 50K or what is that a month? That's like 4,000 and change a month, right?
You can't afford a quarter of that to just have saved up.
So
at least
put away $100 $50 a month. I'm sure you can
Exactly.
find $150. I'm sure instead of going to Paisanos or fucking Olive Garden or wherever, and those are cheaper. I mean, people go out to Chop House and shit. Because that's how shit this country is with managing their money. Again, normalcy bias. We haven't had anything bad happen here in a very long while. That's why people are so goddamn dumb with their money, right? So again, you should be putting money away. I'm shocked that that's the statistic, but it's true. I didn't believe it when I first saw it.
Yeah, that's
the
wild.
fucking truth.
That's wild.
And there are people who make $100K a year and are in that same boat.
Still living. I saw this statistic that people that make over 50% or something like that of people that make over 200K are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah,
200K.
That's insane.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So imagine how sad that is. And I mean, that's
hard to believe.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's true. No, we knew, and not to say names or anything, but my parents, I forgot if it was my dad or my mom, worked with somebody who, I believe it was my mom, and she was making well over six figures for well over a decade. I mean, that's over $1 million in income. Right? So after the government rapes you, you still come home with, I don't know, 800K after all that, maybe 700K. And she ended up working at a dollar store or something because she managed to rid of all that. Dang. So instead of retiring now, she had to go back to work for basically minimum wage.
That's because you're living above your means.
Above your means, and that's again, 08 was people living beyond their means. But I mean, there were people making $40,000 a year, getting their second, third house, a boat.
That's crazy.
That's
why it's free money, right?
It's free money, just like COVID.
Yeah.
And 08 and 08 and COVID, both of them, the 2008 housing crash and COVID were both supposed to be our 1929. But what they do both times, they backstopped it. They printed more. So this is just a delay. They're delaying the inevitable, and hence it's making, when this happens, it's going to make it worse, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm a piece of shit bank, right? Me and Treasury, the Treasury issues bonds, the Fed prints cash. You're a hardworking American, right? You've made $1,000, and let's just say, and you have more than what your average American does. I mean, good for both of y'all at this age.
Let's go.
Y'all have what y'all have. But the sad part is, put yourself in your average American shoes. You're shit with managing money now, right?
Yeah.
And you have this 1,000. Let's just say you trust me, right? I'm the bank. I'm Bank of America. Thank you very much.
Take my shit.
Call me JP Morgan, whatever, right? So you gave me $1,000, right? So I have the 1,000 that you gave me.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't? No, I don't. By law, they only have to keep 10% of your deposit on hand. So D corporation. So imagine millions of people are depositing. Let's say 1 million people deposited $1,000. You get $1 billion in there, right? D's corporation needs 900 billion. Well, shit, I'm gonna make some money off of that. There you go. Here's 900 billion for Corporation D.
Damn.
Now, me as the bank, I'm making anywhere from 5, 10 to 20% interest on that 900 billion I just loaned. You know what you're getting for that grand you deposited?
0.05.
0.05, 0.1, maybe 1% if you have a good bank that's not one of these big assholes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. Meanwhile, I'm loaning it out. Oh, and by the way, I don't really have your money. So not only are you getting jack shit, but I'm making money off the shit that I'm not even holding for you.
Yeah.
This is when COVID hit. This is pre-COVID. Now COVID's hitting, right? These were the old reserve requirements. 1 to 10, I hold 10% for you, right? I got your 100 at least. COVID hit. We needed to free up all that money. We printed shit. We printed. We dropped the rates to zero, and holy shit, we need to free all the money up. Everyone needs to pump money. Not only the Fed, the banks now need to loan out to all the corporations to jumpstart them, right? Reserve requirements are now at zero. Here's 100.
What the?
Now that $1 billion that.
So that happened during COVID.
COVID dropped it from 10% requirement to zero. And
What
guess
the
what?
heck?
It's still at zero.
What the heck?
Right
It's
now,
never been reversed.
That's crazy.
So you just give your money to the bank and they give it to somebody
Reserve
else.
requirements.
And they have no back and forth.
They have no back. Now, obviously, yes, we all go sometimes to the ATM or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's just say, because $1,000 is the example for a person, $1 billion for loaning. So let's just say Bank of America, what do we got? Two-ish trillion, right? Something around that ballpark. $2 trillion in assets. Maybe they have distributed amongst their branches when people need to move some money around, make some payments. Of that 2 trillion, they might have 50 billion. We're not even 10
trillion.
Not even now. So so they don't have to keep anything, right? They obviously need to keep some in there so that it doesn't fall apart. Yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe they have 1%, 2% on hand, which works because we don't really use cash anymore.
Exactly.
Your average American doesn't pull out all this cash at once.
But that's the problem. Like with the 2008 example, where they took a risk and that risk went to shit. They're taking a risk here where like people wanted to withdraw their shit. They wouldn't be able to fund it. Yeah. So It's all gonna go to shit again.
So imagine now.
Damn.
I'm the bank. I'm going to take that back from you. You owe me a lot of money. You're a corporation. We're all pieces of shit. We like each other though, because we're both pieces of shit, right?
Yeah.
So we've got our money, and we have it on our bucks.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's all floating
That's
out there, right? You've paid me back.
crazy.
I've loaned it back out to somebody.
Yeah.
It's never there. We're constantly
another corporation.
We're constantly printing, right?
That's crazy.
So let's just say something happens now. Forget a cyber attack. Forget World War III. Just a medium banking scare, kind of what's happening with First Republic.
Yeah.
By the way, First Republic, we were talking about that. They're getting 6 p.m. today. The bids have to be in.
That's crazy.
That's a $300 billion in assets bank. JP Morgan's going to most likely buy them. If not, the Fed's going to take over. So, again, it's starting already.
Right.
It's just the beginning of it.
Why would JP Morgan buy them?
Because it's consolidation of powers.
It's like they're trying to get a monopoly. Yeah.
It's like when like Walmart buys out their competitors.
Eventually, you're going to end up. They're already talking about 6 major banks by the end of the decade. Sorry,
and that's funny because
2025.
They try to make it like where they don't allow that. Like, we don't allow
On paper,
monopolies. But
monopolies.
damn.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same, and that's a perfect segue almost into the next one. But anyway, I've loaned all this shit out, and something happened, right? Let's say. Again, not just you have an emergency expense, but all of a sudden, forget everyone, let's just say half of the people, for example, needed to pull out half their savings.
Yeah.
So we're talking 25% of all deposits, half the people, not all of them, and just pulling out half of their money, not all of it. So just a quarter of what was deposited. Let's just say you want to pull out, right?
Yeah.
I don't have it. The banks don't have the money there. So imagine what would happen now if everyone, just 80% of people, were to go and try and pull out most of their savings out of the bank. It's not there. Yeah. It's not there. It's all floating around. None of it's on hand.
Damn. Is that back in that? So
FDIC?
Is that the 250,000?
That's your 250,000.
And is that still a thing? Like technically,
it's still technically.
Okay.
Technically, it's still.
So by that's to give you security of your money.
That's
a
mental
little bit.
Security.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens when every bank goes down?
Yeah.
And again, those FDICs work for your Greenville Federal Credit Union, your regional banks, your SVBs, your First Republics. Even though these failures are starting to get big, it's still there. It's still working because there's still a bigger bank to buy out or bail out those medium banks. What happens now when the big ones go down? The whole system falls.
Yeah.
If SVB, if FTX, if First Republic was a grenade, this is a nuke. It's a financial nuke.
Jeez.
I mean,
nobody's there to save it.
Bro, this is apocalypse. You'd have riots in the street. People would lose faith in the system so quickly.
So bad.
It wouldn't take more than a week for I wouldn't say Mad Max scenario, but you'd have looting happening immediately. You'd have government buildings getting stormed. I mean, look at what's happening in Paris, France. That's the kind of shit you'd see, but on a nationwide scale.
What about since most people don't even have a grand to their name? Since the majority doesn't have money, would they just be able to give most people their money back, since it would probably be like a grand to, and it's going to be the minority that have maybe $50K, $100,000 saved up that won't get their money?
Right, you're saying, right. Because most people don't have that much to even pull out in the first place.
Yeah. So that's probably why they get so much playing room to like play around with it, where they could take it down to 0%.
That's a good point. Yeah. Basically, those with smaller deposits would be allowed temporarily.
Yeah.
But again, this would happen when it happens. It will happen so fast. It won't be like it'll be first come, first serve. You can get to the bank before fucking.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, it will. It really will.
When it happens, it's not going to be. No. It's going to happen. By the end of the day, if you hadn't hit your bank or your ATM, good luck. They're going to shut it down the next morning before the stock market opens, and the stock market's not going to open. Yeah. It might open for 15 minutes. You're going to hear the bell ring. 9:45 is going to come around. 15 minutes later, they're going to halt trading. Trading falls another 7%. We're 13% down. They're going to halt it one more time. You get one more try. This is how stock market's circuit breakers. This is their backstop on the stock market. If we hit 20% down on the stock market, it's shut down. 1987 style. It's closed for the rest of the day, and knowing how our government works, they'll just shut it down.
Yeah.
Till the weekend comes around, they'll allow their buddies, the corporations and the banks, to pull out. They'll reopen it the next Monday, and all of a sudden,
nothing.
And they'll let it fall.
That's crazy.
And that's when you get fucked. You're again. This is. Forget millionaires. Unless you're a multi-billionaire, a corporation, or a government entity or bank,
you're fucked.
You're fucked. They're going to let everyone else get crushed after they've already withdrawn. Because they use these halts, these weekends. That's why crashes usually happen on a Friday.
Yeah.
They give themselves, because it's rigged. It's fucking rigged. They use the weekend to pull out, even though you're not allowed to pull out on the weekend.
Yeah, you're
That's
not.
illegal
You're not.
for you.
Yeah, exactly.
They get to move.
Exactly.
They get
I
to
tried it.
fly
I
on the
can't.
weekend.
I can even pull out after 4.
Yeah. Yeah, they get after hours trading. They get weekend repos. All of a sudden, you might see $100 billion move.
So why are people gonna want to pull out their money?
Why are they going to want to pull out?
Yeah.
Because the bank doesn't.
Before any of this happens, why is this gonna happen? What's gonna push people to like, oh, I want to get my money out the bank?
I'm saying more theoretically speaking.
Just so the banking system is gonna crash, right? All that shit, because people are gonna want to pull out their money,
Right.
right? What's gonna make people pull out their money?
Any geopolitical event.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay.
It could be national. It could be international. Now, I don't think, based on the evidence
Yeah.
and based on the research, and we're going to get into that. That's what we're segueing into. The agenda is to cover up the whole entire system, which is broken. And instead of letting people realize how bad it is, they'll have a cataclysmic event that under the guise, and we're about to get into the cyber attack.
Okay.
Under the guise of a cyber attack, that's what caused our system to fall. So not because the system's broken, but they'll take the system down, which is ready to fall. It's about to fall over under the guise of a cyber attack, right? So again, this is all theoretical.
They will.
What people again, if there was no cyber planned, right? And Bank of America, and again, I'm not saying it's not going to happen before cyber. We might see a few major banks go down.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to let that happen until the cyber event happens. But again, if the banks were to fail pre-cyber, you would have seen that scenario of, I need my money back. Oh, I don't have it. But they're going to hit it with cyber and a full-blown, spontaneous collapse before then. That way you have no time to even think about, oh, the system was rigged. Oh, we need to vote this guy out, which, by the way, none of that even matters anymore. But they'll it's shock and awe. They're gonna cause such a drastic event. You'll have no time to think about it, and all of a sudden, you have a new system. And I guess we'll get into that here in a bit. I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah.
And this is the juicy stuff now. So before we hit cyber, I guess why the hell is all this happening, right?
Right.
You can't just say all this stuff and go, "Oh, that doesn't make sense. Why?"
Exactly.
I guess a good place to start is the government's not your friend. If you haven't noticed that yet. It's not your. If you still think the
bro, people struggle with that when people are like, oh, like the government, nah. Like, I was telling them how this is a little off topic, but it's in the subject. How about the thing in Washington where trans kids can run away to.
Oh, the Senate Bill 5599.
Yeah.
In Washington State.
And they're like, oh, I was like, oh, it's to separate families. They were like, no, I think it's just to like give us more freedom.
That's epic. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Again,
we'll hit that later, but yeah.
Yeah, that's like a fine, like good when we bullshit a little bit towards the end. Even though it's not bullshit.
It's not real stuff.
Remember to hit that because that's a must hit point. But I guess why the hell is all that happening, right? If you haven't realized the government's not your friend yet, good luck to you. I really wish you I wish you luck. If you haven't realized that. If you still have trust in the system and you still think the government is doing shit in your best interest, you're fucked, okay? You're going to fall in this trap, and if you haven't yet, I mean, we're all technically in the system still, but you'll have zero chance of escaping this with any sort of freedom whatsoever.
Sure.
So government's not your friend, right? Well, who's the government? It's no longer your government. It's a facade. What do we have back in the day, right? We had kingdoms, kings, monarchies, right? Who owned the land, and the farmers would work for them, and they'd take a cut always, right? Well, then we had the Enlightenment. You remember? Here's the tiny bit of shit they actually taught us in school, right? We had the Enlightenment period. Then we had the Industrial Revolution, and that's when corporations started coming out, right? Companies, businesses became corporations. They started globalizing. Company here, you got part of your business in Africa, part of it in North America, U.S., Canada, Britain. Right, megacorps, worldwide corporations started forming. Well, they got so much money going into their businesses, they literally gained the power to influence the world.
That's crazy,
right? I mean, look at Coca-Cola, look at Apple. I mean, these corporations have such a huge part in our lives. Look at Apple. Apple is basically our daddy.
Exactly.
Not only are they a phone provider, right?
So they got all our information.
They got all our info. It's a big, again, the new currency will be big data. Data is the currency of the future, by the way. As Klaus Schwab says, it's not going to be big fish eat small fish. It's going to be fast fish eat slow fish. Everything's changing so quickly now, right? So these corporations, they have so much power. Apple, again, not only do they do your phones, they're now doing banking. They now have a savings account, which, by the way, does offer 4% interest. So, and that's a whole tangent there.
Yeah.
But they can take you on. But these corporations got so big, so powerful, so influential, they eventually gained the ability to steer government policy, right? And originally it was through, let's get this pipeline, approved so Exxon can build, right? Let's clear this village, and what they would do, and this is real stuff. I mean, they kind of joke about this stuff in movies, but it really happens in real life. If what's a good example? Nicaragua, right? Yeah. We need to get some oil out of Nicaragua, BP or Exxon, one of these gas giants. We found a huge patch. We need to get some oil out of there. But there's a local village. There's some people there. No, this is our native land, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, we're never giving that up. They'll hire a third-party group. They'll go in there. They'll ask them once. They'll say, we need you to move. We're going, and politely they say basically, you need to get out. Yeah. Corporate interest, please. Thank you. And the government of Nicaragua, whoever we're doing it to, they approve it because they're all working in unison with the corporations. The people don't move. They hire a third-party group. Think of like Russia hires the Wagner Group to take care of business in Ukraine. Same thing. We'll hire third-party groups, and they'll just wipe out the village. And this is what happens. It's real. These are not nice people. And they'll do that kind of shit. So, again, it started out gently, if you want to even call that gentle. Yeah. Eventually, it got to the point where the senators... and this is global. I'm just going to use the U.S. as an example, but this happens worldwide to almost every single country that actually fucking matters, right? Yeah.
By the same companies.
Yeah, by the same corporations. And I'm not saying that small countries don't matter, but I'm saying the big boys, right? Yeah. U.S., UK, China, etc., Japan. It started out with that little stuff, and eventually started bribing senators, straight up buying out senators. Look at who's funding senators. Look at who's funding any congressman, whether it's from the Senate or the House of Representatives. Yeah. Judges, ratings agencies, like in 2008, they would literally get bribed to let all that tower bullshit get through, right? Yeah. They buy everyone out to the point where the votes that happen in the Senate, in the government, are being done by the corporations. Yeah. Under the guise of, the senator voted for this, right, and you vote for the senator. It doesn't even matter if you vote for blue senator versus red senator. They're all getting lobbied by the same groups.
So you think that these corporations are paying these like senators or whatever so much money that they'll just do whatever they ask them to?
Imagine you're a senator, right? Yeah. And it's not that I think. Everything I'm saying here is it's truly happening, right? Okay. Imagine you're a senator. Yeah. And, you're making what are senators paid by law? I think it's like $168K a year, right? Okay. Imagine a $100 billion corporation comes around and says, you get a $500,000 bonus, 2, 3, 4 years of work. You just got to vote no on this.
It's all corruption.
Oh, yeah, we're going to buy you a house. They're buying them houses. They're buying them boats. They're buying them strippers, hookers, whatever they want, whatever they offer, right? It's done because this is chump change for these corporations. It's so fucking easy.
Just to get their way.
It's so easy. They now literally run the government through lobbying groups, straight up bribes, and buying out every government. Not to say that there's a few good ones left, but almost, I'd say 95% of every single government official has been bought out by these corporations. And don't think by any chance that the CIA, NSA, FBI are any different. They're bought out as well. They're working in corporate interests.
And do you think they work together like these big companies?
And perfect. That's where we're getting to. So, corporate, we went from the kingdoms to the corporations and who runs the world through power. Again, money steers everything, and money equals power, power equals money. Facts. Eventually, around the last century, in the 20th century, these corporations came to a realization of, and again, it's all literally documented. All you got to read is the Rockefeller Foundation's Lockstep project. It's on the internet. And again, I do recommend people to still read this stuff. Sure. And like you told your viewers earlier, do your own research. Don't fucking believe a single word I say. As much as I back it up, do your own research. And then not only will I say and show you facts, you'll see it yourself.
Exactly.
Again, most people, that's why I brought info,
Yeah.
so that people necessarily don't have to put too much work in. Because
Yeah,
quite frankly,
facts.
this is why no one knows shit today. Because
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
actually do your own research. If you took the time after
Laziness.
after you watch this and just spend an hour going on the CFR's website, Council on Foreign Relations, the World Economic Forum's website, go into congressional funding programs
Yeah.
and see who is putting money from where, you're going to start recognizing these names of these companies
Yeah.
as these mega giants. So about 20th century, they all came to the realization of, why keep knocking each other off the top? We're all working towards the same goal. And I guess that's kind of what I missed on earlier with the whole kingdoms to corporations thing.
Yeah.
It's always been a game of haves versus have-nots.
Yeah.
The rich versus the poor, the powerful versus the peons, right? They need the system because the system gives them their control. And if they were to lose the system, lose control of it, people will have a chance to break out and actually be free of corporate leadership.
Yeah.
And whenever I say government, think corporations. When I say corporations, think government. It's one entity now. Yeah. They're not separate anymore. And in reality, it's the corporations running the show, right? So again, it's a full-blown, through these control vectors, they make the decisions through the government that's bought out, and it's to keep people enslaved, because as long as they can keep the 99% poor and stupid, they'll never lose power. They got the power, but they don't want to lose it. And it's human nature.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to say I don't blame them, because these people are pieces of shit, but be honest. If you're pulling these kinds of numbers, if you had this kind of ability to steer the world however you want, you would. I mean, maybe there's a few good ones of us that wouldn't,
Right.
but you have to fight that in you as a good
Exactly.
human. These people are not, they weren't able to fight it, or they're just not good people. Corporate leaders, etc., government officials, they don't want to let go of the power. So that's kind of as to the why this is happening and who's running it, right? And that segues perfectly into the realization they came to last century. Why keep fighting each other, these corporations? We all have the same goal. As long as we keep people poor, dumb, and stupid. Dumb and stupid. You see where my brain is at this point? It's the same fucking thing. I'm telling you, bro, you intake
Not bad, bro.
this amount of
Not bad.
info, you'll start saying doubles like that. Anyway, as long as you keep people poor and dumb, we stay in control.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We have the same agenda now. Let's start grouping together, right?
Yeah.
This is where the group started forming. So back in the day, you remember Rockefeller,
Right.
Mega Corp, right? Standard Oil, or U.S. Oil, Standard Oil.
Yeah.
Rockefeller Foundation was formed. The Carnegie Endowment, Andrew Carnegie, remember
Right,
Big
yeah.
Steel, these mega corps, and they started grouping smaller groups with him, saying, okay, yeah, we're on the same page, right? And they started writing documents, the Rockefeller lockstep projects. Recently, you got the CFR formed, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Davos Group, and the Trilateral Commission. I mean, you can search each one of these. It's not shit you'll see on the news, because the second you search that shit, you say, you can start connecting dots. Once you search these words, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, and the Davos Group, and you start saying these are the mega corporations, and all of a sudden, these are the same groups that are funding your government's officials
That's
to make
crazy.
decisions
That's
in
so
their
crazy.
best interest. So you had all these groups formed, the same agenda, right? Little recap. Groups formed, they agree we need to keep people poor. Why should we stay so divided in our little sectors and keep fighting? So, we don't want to throw each other off the top. We now have group A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Why don't we just join all those groups together, right? They officially reorganized and came to a final goal around 50 years ago, 1971, and we're perfectly segueing into this here. Klaus Schwab, German economist, with help of Henry Kissinger, who, by the way, just a perfect example how they've infiltrated, with the help of Henry Kissinger, who was our Secretary of State and a member of the CFR. I mean, it's the same groups and same names repeating. Him and Kissinger basically organized the World Economic Forum. This is where it was born. And they joined all these groups together under the WEF. So the World Economic Forum officially united.
So how does that happen? Like, they just make a group, and like, I don't know. How do all these corporations just join together? Why would they?
Why would they join together?
I mean, they would just because they have the same agenda, but I don't know. I don't even know where I'm trying to go with it, but
You're saying how they joined together, or
it's like
I'm
That's such a crazy, like, so these two people just make a group?
Well, it's not just two people, first of all.
Yeah.
It's a Secretary of State, part of the... Again, I'm just naming the top two people who formed it. I mean, there are multiple individuals.
So is he still alive?
Oh, yeah, Schwab's still alive. He's doing more than...
He runs it?
He's the chairman and executive founder. Executive chairman and founder of the World Economic Forum.
Ooh, so he runs it, so he... Damn.
Again, he's just think of him as more of a president.
Like Biden,
Again, he is nowhere near Biden. He's actually really fucking... I mean, I believe I put it in here too. I mean, professor for business policy, University of Geneva, Switzerland. Honorary professor.
It did start in Switzerland. It's based in Switzerland, I'm pretty sure.
World Economic Forum. Yeah. Oh, this is all Davos. Yeah. Davos is also in Switzerland. I mean, the same group, same people. I mean, we're not going to go too far back in history.
Right.
Remember, United Nations High-Level Advisory Board, UN. This is not just some random individuals. But
Holy shit.
I guess I should read it. This makes it a little more plausible here, right? UN High-Level Advisory Board on Sustainable Development. Vice Chairman, United Nations Committee for Development. Foreign Affairs, Beijing, People's Republic of China. They have their hands in everything. University of Negev, Israel. A member of the Royal Academy of Morocco, right? There you go.
So this pretty much gave them the platform of, okay, we can work together under this.
Exactly. He gave them the platform. Him, Kissinger, and these other groups eventually united. Oh, Bilderberg Group. That's a huge one I missed out on. And there are people in them. I mean, Bill Gates.
Bill what? Bill Eber Group?
Bilderberg.
Okay, Bilderberg.
Like Builder, like Bob the Builder, and then Berg as in like a city, right?
Okay.
So Bilderberg Group, that was one of the big ones.
So did they own anything in these companies?
Do they own...
Like, do they have ownership? Like, does the World Economic Forum...
have stake?
Yeah.
They call it stakeholder capitalism, and that's their big word of saying, we in return will push your agendas. They don't hold physical stake in them.
Yeah.
They're more of think of United Nations.
Okay.
Right? It's not like United Nations has... physical,
and the countries.
It's not like they're buying shares of the US, but it's obvious they do have stake in it, and vice versa, right?
Makes sense.
So it's more of a structure to organize.
Because it's crazy. Because I was looking at the World Economic Forum, their website, and it's like you think we're all against each other, and like we're competing with like Chinese products and shit, but all the major American companies and all the major Chinese companies are all under it.
Oh, it's all under it.
Crazy.
It's a facade.
That's crazy, right?
On the top, World War III is a great example. It's U.S. versus China, U.S. versus Russia, Russia, Ukraine. No, it's not. On the top level it is, and as you just said perfectly, underneath it, it's corporation. They're still fighting. As much as they've organized, they are still trying to kill a few of each other off because these people love to fight for power.
Exactly.
These groups these megacorps love power.
Yeah.
So in the process, they're still killing off a few of each other, and these final groups are kind of battling it out. Who's going to be at the top of the World Economic Forum?
Yeah.
But it's the corps fighting and working together.
That's so crazy.
Behind the scenes, and that's where you get your world wars from. Crazy. That's where you get your banking collapses from. These are the people that actually run the show.
Our partners.
Partners. And if you go on their website, like you did, our goal for a better 2030, a better 2050. It's so fucking hilarious once you start reading into the shit they're actually doing and not the stuff they're putting out. Now, if you find this kind of stuff they're putting out, you say, okay, this is kind of devious.
Yeah.
Right? But they'll put out stuff, how to make a more sustainable future. Yeah. It's a sustainable future. Let's save our planet, and we need to go green, right?
Yeah.
If you look into it a little farther, we need to have a carbon credit system where you're limited to your distancing.
That's crazy.
Your 15-minute cities, which we've talked about.
Right, yeah.
And they're putting the stuff out. And
so to make the world better, let's limit where you can go.
Guise. They don't give it. These people don't give a shit about the world. This is all a perfect guise. They could give a shit less about pollution or fucking carbon emissions. Right. That's we're the good people, listen to us. Guys, for you're getting fucking enslaved and you have no clue about it. And we're going to do it through that. So they reorganized 1971. It was formed same year that we dropped the gold standard, coincidentally. Okay, start piecing that shit together. Same year they were formed. And ever since then, they've got everyone signed on. So, I mean, we're not bullshitting here. I'll just show you.
They really do. I was like, okay, is Walmart in that? And they are.
I'll be honest. It's crazy. It's so in your face now.
Yeah.
I literally, because I didn't, look how much ink I killed on this shit. Yeah, I didn't know it was going to print out all black. Point being, because it's so in your face, and to make a point, I didn't even try to find companies specifically when I was searching this is off their website. Exactly. I didn't. I literally clicked randomly into a sector and there's companies in every sector that you hear.
Yeah,
if I were to
bro.
go, this would be 400 pages. If I were to
Yeah,
go each one,
yeah.
it's every corporation on the world from every company.
A through Z.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
A through Z. But here's just some random ones I printed, and I bet you can recognize a bunch. Banco Santander, huge bank across Latin countries, right?
Yeah.
And I want to hit every part of the world. Bank of America, Bank of China, Barclays, BBVA, BNY Mellon. What else we got here? China Bank, Citigroup, City Funds,
yeah.
the Mayo Clinic, Merck, Moderna, right? Nestle, your fucking food company.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, dang, I didn't know
Yep.
that too.
Who's a good one here? Pfizer. We got Pfizer here.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not reading all of them. I'm just reading the ones that people would know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole list. Illumina, Johnson & Johnson, Kaiser Group, Bayer, huge German pharmaceutical company, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We're not going down that rabbit hole, but let's just say there's a lot you can find out about that stuff. That is not who you think he is. And that whole foundation, they are not on your side. That's all I'll say. We're not going down the Bill Gates rabbit hole today. Okay, but these are these are sick fucks.
We could.
That's all I'll say. Yeah, we can go down a
On
little
the next
later.
one.
Bristol Myers, right? CVS, Discovery, fucking Discovery.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
And I'm just reading random ones. now.
Google, the person you get all your information from.
Yep, exactly.
It's part of it.
Hong Kong Exchange, HSBC Bank, Industrial Commercial Bank of China, Intercorp, Japan Bank for International Cooperation, Johannesburg Stock Exchange, JP Morgan, right? Lloyd's Bank, London Stock Exchange. I mean, it's not even companies.
Exactly.
It's groups. It's
Exactly.
stock exchanges.
Yeah.
folks.
Crazy.
MasterCard, Morgan Stanley, MUFG Bank, NASDAQ, our New York
wild.
Stock Exchange. NASDAQ,
That's
dude, fucking
wild.
NASDAQ.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nomura Holdings, New York Stock Exchange, right after that.
Yeah.
Boom.
And I think people get the point.
Yeah.
But the
PayPal.
major, because people are like, oh, what's wrong with it? Like how they literally say this is where they influence world economic, like political shit. Like this is, they get all their influences from these companies. And the problem is that it looks like we're all competing against each other, but how is the same banks from US in the same team as the same banks from China? It makes no sense.
We're supposed to be, China's supposed to be our not our necessary, I don't want to say enemy because that's more World War III, but they're supposed to be our contender.
Exactly.
We're supposed to be rivals.
Exactly.
But our banks are working with their banks. They're all under the same group.
Exactly.
And what you were heading at, perfect. Oh shit, I had it in this stack. Perfect. So these groups, these corporations, they're in this World Economic Forum, right?
Yeah.
So to kind of prove a point here, so they're in the group, they're all together. Okay, cool. Well, maybe this is all just bullshit, and I'm spitting shit, and they're not actually influencing the world, and they're kind of they're keeping stuff quiet because it's not as bad as I say it is. Well, they literally fucking brag about it because people are so stupid today, and they literally will never read the stuff, or they'll see it and they're so scared to actually break out of their the system of fear that they won't understand it. But it's not so hard to understand. They brag about controlling the entire world. Here's Klaus Schwab's quote, 2017 speech at Harvard. Oh, by the way, the colleges are in on it too.
Holy
I didn't
shit.
even pull up colleges.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I didn't pull up Harvard.
What makes most of the people in this country of colleges? As in, like, everybody goes to a college to get a job.
Exactly. It's you've been institutionalized from the beginning.
That's crazy.
And again, when we got out of schools, it still wasn't that bad. The shit they're showing kids now in school, and that's more back on that Washington topic. We can touch that a little later. We dodged a bullet, you know, or just a little still. But anyway, I mean, they're literally running, and they brag about it, and people are too dumb to check this stuff. So here's Klaus Schwab, chairman, executive chairman, and founder of the World Economic Forum, which has all these corporations under them, literally bragging.
So the Biden of them.
A very smart president.
Exactly.
A little different than Biden, but exactly the talking head. Whatever he says is the agenda.
Exactly.
Because he speaks for the world's corporations.
Exactly.
So here he is at the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics 2017, right? So, quote, when I mention our names like Miss Merkel, by the way, from Germany, Angela Merkel, the president of Argentina, even Vladimir Putin, and so on, they have all been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. So we penetrate the cabinets. More than half of Trudeau's cabinet are from our young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. I mean, it's open admittal because they know no one's going to do shit about it. No one's going to check it. And then they push out fact checkers. By the way, when you see the fact checkers by MSN or Snopes, you know, when you search, go and search up cyber attack, World Economic Forum responsible for cyber attack. The first search you'll get, by the way, because the same corporations own the
They
same
own it,
fact
right.
checkers, and these are the same corps from the World Economic Forum. This is a conspiracy theory. This has no validity. And look at who owns the fact checker. It's the same
them.
corporations from the group.
That's crazy.
Exact same corps. Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum 2021 meeting. The change is not just happening. The change can be shaped by us. I mean, it's open admittal, full blown, right? So again, where are they heading with it? And that's kind of where we were talking about earlier. The control of people, keeping people poor, keeping people dumb. And the ways that they do it, by the way, it's, what's the game? Divide and
Conquer.
Divide and conquer, right? If they can keep us focused on Muslims versus Christians, right?
Right.
Trans,
black and that's a whole different agenda.
Yeah.
But again, yes, that too. Black versus white.
Yeah.
What's another good example of that?
Hollywood.
Hollywood, yeah. But anyway, you know, these divisive groups, right? Red versus blue, Democrat, Republican, right? And that's a very good one. That one's so effective at keeping. I mean, shit, I've fallen trapped to that before so many times. And keep you distracted in addition to divided, right? You know, sport. Again, not saying that you shouldn't do these things. Enjoy life, right? But if all you're doing is entertainment and never actually taking care of business, right? Working on yourself, and they keep you distracted. Sports, video games, Hollywood, all this entertainment shit. So divide and conquer and entertain and distract. That's the name of the game.
Right.
And the end agenda, right? Maintain their power and an eventual enslavement of people. And here's a little bit of, before we get into cyber, how they're going to pull this off. Where we're heading is a full-blown central bank digital currency.
Yeah.
Which eventually will start on a national level. Eventually it will be organized into a world level, one world currency. IMF just launched the Universal Monetary Unit. And in addition to your CBDC, you're going to have a digital ID without you will not access the internet. Every purchase you make, every search you make will be tracked. And their third agenda, I believe I did put it in here. Oh yeah, and you'll have a carbon limit. You're going to have carbon limits. Wild. That's why if you book flights now, by the way, you'll see your CO2 emissions. So again, all under the guise of for your safety, for your convenience, for the earth. And that's the new big thing they're pushing is this whole carbon thing.
Right, yeah.
That's really the push here. And again, to back that up, coming soon, America's own social credit system. China is pushing CBDC now.
Who posted all that?
I mean, this is, let's see. We got here Al Jazeera News, The Hill. This is mainstream.
Okay.
This is mainstream. This isn't even shit.
They're not even trying to hide it.
They're not even hiding. You don't have to pull the stuff. Yeah, I'll say the name. That's a good idea. Kitco News, Unicoin, global legal tender settlement, CBDC unveiled at 2023 IMF spring meetings, right? Investing.com, IMF unveils Universal Monetary Unit, one world currency, right? World Economic Forum and World Trade Organization push digital identity of persons and objects. You're now a hackable individual. And I'll pull that quote up later if I can find it, but Klaus Schwab's lead scientific advisor, Noel Yuval Harari, literally said, it's out on the internet. There's a whole YouTube, and I'm going to send all y'all links, by the way, when we're done here, because this is just shit that I had time to print. There's, thousands and thousands of these. Open admittal, I believe it was a 2017 speech. And remember, he advises the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab in the science sector. He says humans are now hackable beings, and we don't have, again, this is their talking point.
Right.
You don't have a soul, and you don't have a consciousness. To them, we're just cattle. You're just a hackable being, and we can be altered now through new technologies. But anyway, National Digital ID, a foundation for CBDC. You'll have to have it to search, to transact. I mean, if you want to get, like the Christians believe, and it's funny, it adds up, the mark of the beast, you will not be able to transact or act in society without it. And if this is not a form of that, I'm not saying we're going microchip mode. That could be down the line later, but it will start with a digital ID where, you have your, what do we have? Our social security number. This will be the next version, next iteration of it, except this time it's a full-blown control. You make a weird search on Safari on private mode, that shit is being tracked. They're going to be building profiles, and they already have. They have a profile of you, of D, of Carlos, of me. What your personality profile, what type of consumer you are. It's big data, and that's the currency. But anyway, digital currency. United States is officially developing a bank-to-bank digital currency, central bank digital currency. A new approach to credit scoring, accelerating financial inclusion. They put it in nice terms. You're going to have a carbon limit. Right?
So everybody here is like, okay, they're going to go fully online. It's like, we already know that everything's going to be online at one point. What's the benefit in that? Full control, right?
Full digitalization?
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with. It's the way that this is happening and who's running it that makes it suck.
Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with a one world government eventually.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. As much as I love America or Poland, I'm Polish. As much as I want to be nationalist, eventually we need to put that shit aside and get rid of the borders. And I think a one world government, there's nothing wrong with it if it's done in a benevolent way.
Yeah.
But they're doing it in a bad way, in an evil way, right? A way because the people running it are going for control. Right? Yeah. And remind me of the question because I already started sidetracking.
Yeah, I got you. We're talking about shit. Oh, why? What's the benefit in it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So digitalization is great, and Klaus Schwab's fourth industrial revolution. I mean, they're talking about it how you can literally now they'll be able to start programming people through other means, whether that be the chip or some other form of nanotechnology. By the way, a huge trend to invest in.
Yeah.
But it's all good stuff, except it's being used by the wrong people.
Exactly.
Digitalization is great. We're heading fully digital. It's going to be things to invest in, metaverse, AI, Internet of Things, where you walk into your home, you want your fridge to open, you tap your phone or whatever, or you talk to your home. Right. Home, turn the Alexa, whatever the hell. We already have this stuff. It's coming out. Siri, yeah, it's already here. This is like the taste of it.
So it's all. So he said it's all great. Like it would be dope if it was ran by the right people.
Yep.
But the downside to this is that if we're fully online, they can control everything you do.
Exactly.
So they could shut you down in the blink of an eye.
And that's what the social credit score is about.
Yeah.
So, you have your FICO score, right? You get you get great score, great home loan, whatever, you're doing good in life. Well, with a social credit score, God forbid you say something against the narrative. Yeah. God forbid you exercise your freedom of speech, which is already disappearing. And in the future, if they can pull this off successfully, which it looks like they're going to do, if you say something against the agenda, all of a sudden your credit score, social credit score, gets destroyed. You post something on social media that is offensive to some group, whatever it may be, LGBTQ, this race, that group, this corporation, your credit score gets bumped, or you do something bad enough, all of a sudden your bank account's frozen because you are not even with a bank anymore. The government, the corporate government, now has all your funds because it's been centralized through that CBDC. Right. So again, digitalization, going fully online, awesome. I think it's cool. Technology is awesome. If we use this stuff properly, all this new biotech that's coming out, nanotech, it'd be good for humanity if it was being run by the right people. If we didn't have a bunch of psychopaths in control. The problem is we do have them in control, and that's how the fuck we found ourselves here. So again, it's awesome stuff. One world government, totally agree. Except their version's a little fucked.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And a little is a very weak word.
Yeah.
That's me putting it nicely. I'll swear a little more later once we reach our climax.
Okay, so cyber attack or going full digital. What's next?
So how do we pull this off, right? How do we pull off this total surveillance grid system? And by we, I mean the World Economic Forum, the corporations, the governments. How can they pull it off? In what way can they do it so that people don't rebel, don't have a chance to have a revolution, whatever you want to call it, ask for change, demand change, right? And as we said earlier, so remember the Fed has the two options, right? Because the whole financial system's fucked. And remember that system, the financial system, is the core of this whole thing, right?
Exactly.
That's the root of it.
Exactly.
It's what holds it all together and gives them their power, essentially. So the Fed had those two options: raise rates, cut rates. This whole system's about to fall apart. And if there was if they didn't have a solution, people would see it all fall. Well, why let people see how broken it is? Why let people figure out that these people are not in their best interest, these groups, these corps? Why not have such a shock and awe, catastrophic event, spontaneous event? The saying, kill two birds with one stone. Yeah. Why not kill 10 birds with one stone? Yeah. Why not kickstart World War III? Exactly. Why not run an event of such a bad size that you can then blame it on Russia or China? Doesn't matter who did it. Yeah. Whether it was Corporation ABC, the U.S. government itself.
It's all just the World Economic Forum.
It's the World Economic Forum doing it through these corps. They have their own hacker groups, whoever you want.
They'll be like, okay, Russia, you're going to get this out of it. Yeah, you might get some hate for it. But we got you.
Exactly. And what did we say? What was his quote? He admitted Putin is from there.
Oh,
yeah.
That's exactly. Yeah, you're getting it now.
And China's definitely in on it. So
you see how it works? That's how it works. So an event of a size that's going to, and here's the birds you could kill with this one stone.
Right. Yeah.
And the stone is the cyber attack. Take care of World War III.
Yeah.
Get someone to blame for the kickstart, the big, and I believe this might be our Pearl Harbor. I don't know if the war's going to kick off before it or after. This could be, they're calling it Cyber Pearl Harbor, right? So this could be the kickstart of it. But get World War III going. Have somebody to blame. They'll blame it on Russia or China. You create a shock so bad in the financial system that when people go and try and pull out, they won't be able to. But it's not because our system's broken anymore, which it is. And it's not their fault. It's because it's a cyber attack, right? So it's, again, they're covering the collapse with it. Installing the CBDC, because you'll need one after they wipe the banks. I don't know yet if they're going to return. And again, not everything. They don't expose every freaking detail, because at that point it would be a little too easy. But I mean, they expose nearly all of it. It's out there.
So this cyber attack is literally something Dave talked about.
It's that we're about to hit.
That's so crazy.
We're about to hit. This is the meat. These last 4 stacks are the fucking meat of it. But with the cyber, they're killing all these birds. An excuse for World War III, blame it on Russia or China. The collapse of the financial system covered up. It's not their fault anymore because there's a cyber attack by Russia or China. World War III kickstart and a whole lot of reorganization. They love to reorganize. They use these events, by the way. World War II reorganized stuff so well. It's just a setup for the next setup until they can pull off, and they're here. By the way, we're here. They've set it up to the point. This is the final nail, the nail in the coffin, whatever you want to call it. After this, there is no more need for this whole game of what they've been doing, the whole control. You have your government. There's no need to hide after this, because this is the final enslavement through the central bank digital currency, your digital ID, and your social credit system. You'll not be able to leave your city without damaging your 15-minute zones, which they talk about. And I forgot to print that one, but I'm sending you all the links on that. But through the social credit score, you won't be able to talk against the government, corps, any other group. They'll be able to do to you whatever they want. Klaus Schwab's on record saying you'll be taking vaccines from our companies whether you want to or not. And if you don't, and if you don't, you'll be damaging your social credit system, or you'll be sent to a re-education school. I mean, this is North Korea, China, communism. That stuff's going to look like a picnic compared to this. And then obviously your digital ID, where you'll be tracked on everything you spend, and it
all makes sense, because people are like, oh, why would we ever like go through with it? You have no option, and they'll almost make it seem like it's you're in the wrong. Oh, if you're leaving your social area, you're messing up the atmosphere, and you're the reason of why world pollution and all this shit is happening.
How are they traveling?
Private
jets. It tells you it's a joke. Look at these basic facts. You don't even need an article for that. They've got private jets. Bezos has got mega yachts. That stuff's not going away, but you're the evil one. And I didn't bring this one. It just hit my head now. Forbes article a few years ago. 2030, looking forward to the end of humanity. I mean, they put out these statements.
It's like you'll own nothing and be happy.
They're literally
type thing.
narratives, and I almost forgot about these. I mean, they write books.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So if he runs the World Economic Forum, he's the one writing these books.
He's writing the books himself with the help of some of his organizers in the World Economic Forum.
That's so crazy.
I mean, if you really read through all the parts, when they start putting data in here, I mean, you'll see the corporations that it comes from. But I mean, the great narrative. These are their talking points. COVID-19, how it's perfectly it was used to set up, whether you believe that it was a setup or not.
He wrote that.
Klaus Schwab.
That's so crazy.
The Fourth Industrial Revolution, and this is a must read. By Klaus Schwab, also World Economic Forum founder, executive chairman. I mean, it's out in the open. And I mean, literally, I didn't have time to pull the quotes, but they tell you we are going to be able to program humans and control you digitally, track you. Eventually, they're going to be able to track your body itself, whether that be through the microchip.
They can almost already do that.
Oh, yeah. Look what the phones are able to do. Your Apple.
They track how many calories you're burning.
Yeah, and imagine it's not even in you. Imagine what they can do with shit that's inside of you.
In China, they were doing, this is a little off topic, we'll get back to it, but they're like, already in school, there's schools out there that are monitoring everything you do. So like, if you lose focus for a second, there's cameras. You have like devices on you that literally you put on top of your head, and they track your eye movement to make sure you're focused.
That's crazy.
Yes, bro.
And China's the model.
Exactly.
That's why China is being kind of pushed to kill. Like back on the surface level. That's what I was thinking. On surface level, if forget the corporation stuff for a sec, surface level, that's why America's getting killed off.
Exactly.
Because China's doing very good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are doing fantastic.
So it's not about like we're in control. China, no. These companies are in control. They don't care who runs it.
Yep.
They just want they're the most beneficial person to run it, where they're going to get the most power out of it.
Yep.
And right now that seems like China, so they're going to go to China.
And China's the
it's that simple. Exactly.
They don't give a shit about
exactly,
countries.
bro.
They don't care about
Because
you.
in our eyes, like, oh, like why? How are we going to like lose to China? This and that, Russia, like this and that. Nah, it's not about that. They just want whoever is going to benefit them, and that's it.
Yep, exactly.
Crazy.
And I guess we're there.
Yeah.
How they're going to pull it all off.
Yeah.
So again, they had the two options. The system's about to collapse. How do you kill all these birds with one stone?
Yeah.
How do you pull it off in a manner? And we just covered that. How do you pull it off so well that you can cover up a broken system, blame it on somebody else, blame it on the nations, which they use the countries. It's just their pawns, right? It's like a big game of chess, except on a global scale with a bunch of psychotic corps. And how do you install all this stuff without giving people time to react and demand change? Well,
Before you say that, I do want to say I only got like 10 minutes.
You want to blow through it?
Yeah, because I gotta go to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to Zoom? Okay, well, let's blow through it. So they love to run simulations.
Yeah.
And we're not diving deep into COVID, but the COVID crisis happened 4 months after their final simulation. They run what they call tabletop exercises, and they've been running these for years. 2001, Dark Winter, bioterrorism exercise, Andrews Air Force Base, right? Mm-hmm. Claydex simulation 2018 reveals the U.S. is not ready for severe pandemics. Yeah. This is the government's running it and the World Economic Forum. Boom. Yeah. Crimson Contagion exercise 2019. Here's the report they did, the second COVID hit. There you go. Event 201 pandemic. They call them tabletop exercises. Yeah. They run drills. Hosted by, here we go, John Hopkins Center for Health Security and the World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum 2020. 2019 page. October 15th, 2019. World Economic Forum live simulation exercise to prepare public and private leaders for pandemic response. 4 months. What happened? 4 months
Yeah. COVID.
Jesus Christ.
4 months later.
World Economic Forum. Yeah, and it launches.
Crazy.
And it's not just one.
Let me see that. That's so crazy.
I want to see that after you.
Yeah.
Bro, there's a whole stack of this shit. Y'all can keep these. I won't need these, by the way.
Yeah,
I've seen this stuff 100 times.
Yeah.
Just feel free to read them.
For sure.
And if you want to borrow those books too, you should probably...
I'll definitely take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Get it myself.
But they run simulations, and it's under the guise, because they love to hide everything. It's under the... Although now it's kind of in the open. Because no one can connect the dots or read.
So these simulations are to make sure that people in power are good?
It means, yeah, exactly, to make sure that they know how to steer the public and steer the agenda when they launch it.
Jesus.
So I guess to put it in simple terms, it's like, are you ready? Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And when we launch it, this is how we want you to guide people, how to steer people.
Crazy.
So,
it's like a test run
yeah,
before it happens.
Test runs. So
that's so
what
crazy.
they did for COVID. And I guess on to the final juicy part. All of a sudden, they start doing the same exact thing for the cyber attack.
Yeah.
How a cyber attack could cause the next financial crisis.
Jesus.
2018. Defense scenario, 2020. Cyber Polygon, technical write-up. Who is it? Bizone. They're owned by the World Economic Forum. They do own things as well. So the corporations own the WEF. Yeah. The WEF owns other subcorps. European, I mean, again, these aren't even news. This is coming from the government itself. European Parliament, 2021, Cyber Polygon, Cyber Pandemic, and this is what they love mixing stuff. Cyber Polygon, Cyber Pandemic Simulation by the World Economic Forum.
Jeez.
They've been running drills every year since COVID started because they're already planning for the next thing.
Yeah.
International Monetary Fund, by the way, this is a group of all the banks. Yeah. 10 countries simulate cyber attack on global financial system. December 2021.
That's so crazy.
Global finance firms and NATO. This happened a few days ago, 19th of April, 2023. NATO itself took part in the cyber attack simulation. We're very close.
Because it makes sense, because in our eyes, they can just put that out there because it looks like we're preparing for like, oh, it looks like this could happen in the future with all this AI we're getting.
Defense.
Exactly. But they're just preparing for what they're going to push out.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you could believe it, like, oh yeah, they're just getting ready for defense.
Yeah, but it's like what COVID.
It's perfectly timed.
Yeah.
They spend about 4 years planning this shit, and they launch it. COVID was a great example.
Exactly.
They've been doing this plan for about 3 years. We're going to launch very soon. That's why we're doing this now, because we're imminent. And to top all that backup stuff off, from Klaus Schwab's own words. Klaus Schwab from World Economic Forum. There we go. Boom. At the 2020 Cyber Polygon, by the way, is their drill. This is their training exercise. This is him in 2020. We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospitals, our society as a whole. COVID-19 would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. Jeez. COVID will be seen as a joke in comparison. And they're telling you. And boom, they already ran live drills just as with COVID they did. They didn't really release viruses with COVID because that's a little bit different. Yeah. You can't just be testing viruses and not let them spread, right? But they ran every simulation they could. Well, with cyber attacks, it won't spread and kill people like a virus. So they actually started shutting shit down. You remember our pipeline went down? Yeah. Colonial on the East Coast a few years ago? Yeah. Ransomware attack. Shuts down U.S. pipeline on the East Coast. That was Colonial. Russians hack into, Chinese, all one thing. Hack into our power grid. This was the best one. I almost shit myself when this happened because I was like, that's mind-blowing. So the last training for 2022, there you go. This is from their website. Cyber Polygon 2022 to take place on July 8th, right? Cyber Polygon gets postponed, right? July 8th, Canada gets hit by a cyber attack.
What the fuck? Wait, who posted the Polygon thing? Who, like, the first post? Who was that by?
First post. What do you mean?
So when they announced it, like, they said...
when this was?
Yeah.
They postponed it in May 25th.
And what's the other one?
February 16th.
They announced it, though, on February 16th.
The drill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, damn. Did they announce it as a drill?
As a drill. So the training, right?
Okay.
Cyber Polygon training was supposed to take place on July 8th of 2022.
Yeah.
Right? They scheduled it on the 16th of February.
Yeah.
May 25th, they postponed it.
Yeah.
And they fucking ran it live. They literally tested it on Canada. Massive outage cuts 25% of Canada's internet traffic for all of Friday. When?
25%.
July 8th, 2022. Coincidence, bro. I'm sorry, but I know there's coincidences in life.
Yeah.
But after you see all of this, get the fuck out of here, bro. Yeah. Literally, a cyber drill canceled, and all of a sudden, the same day that was supposed to happen, Canada gets hit. There you go, 25% hit on July 8th.
And didn't you say they ran the test in Canada also for COVID?
Yes.
That's crazy. Yes,
they were. Canada, by the way, like you know how I read you the quote how he penetrates cabinets?
Yeah.
They take over the cabinets of government. Well, you know how he's talking so much about Trudeau in Canada. Canada is one of their really big test dummies.
I bet.
Trudeau, and then they allowed them to run a bunch of shit. That's why Canada is a testing ground for all this COVID stuff. It was draconian over there, by the way. Damn. They were getting barged into during COVID. It was not a fun place to be. So that was the live. They literally have tested it, and the most recent one. That happened January 11th of this year. Yeah. Our whole entire the FAA system went down. All planes were grounded. No one hits this shit. No one sees it. All planes in the U.S. were grounded back in January of this year due to a cyber attack.
Bro.
That's insane.
Final run. I do truly believe final run because also there are no more drills scheduled. They ran 2020. 21 and 22.
So now
there are no more drills left.
Jesus
They've run now live drills,
Christ.
and it looks like we're about to go live. And also in January of this year, the World Economic Forum, they have a meeting every year. Yeah. They put out a final warning. This is kind of their heads up to people who are listening, to the corporations, their friends, the groups, and the governments. We're about to go live. Get your stuff ready. World Economic Forum warns catastrophic cyber event likely. The January 20th, 2023 report, and that 93% of experts and 86% of businesses believe it is time for catastrophic global cyber attack. Boom. Cyber apocalypse 2023. And the public, they will consolidate power, World Economic Forum to consolidate power through public-private partnerships.
What the heck?
It's been literally, I mean, they've ran the drills.
What the heck?
They run it live, bro. Again, I said the biggest one. I've seen this shit happen. It shocked me. The July 8th. I mean,
that's crazy.
Run the drill live, and I was like, "Holy shit! Wait a sec. What day is it? It's July 8th." Yeah. They literally. I was watching the news while I'm literally getting out of the shower. I'm like, "Holy shit! They just ran it live on Canada. They've tested it. They run it, and what's gonna go down, right? So it's gonna be a full-blown cyber attack blamed on Russia or China, which all that dystopian stuff that they want to push is gonna come out after. Yeah. They're gonna hit the power grid. The cyber attack's gonna bring down the entire power grid, transportation." Hospital services, telecommunications, your internet, your cellular is going out, your water's going out, any other sanitation services you need, your stores are going to get emptied completely. I mean, it's full blow, and your banks will get emptied because it's all fucking zeros and ones. It's a bunch of digits in there.
Right.
None of it's real. That's going to zero. Good luck pulling your money out, and the stock market's going to take a nice plunge. And again, no one's paying attention to it.
That's crazy.
And they've run drills. I mean, we just went through 30 fucking articles.
And they did the same for COVID.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Same exact thing for COVID.
Jesus.
Now, yes, COVID was a real virus.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people out there saying, oh, no, COVID never even happened. It was just, no, COVID was real.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But they use these events and they create these events and guide them. These things are actually happening.
Damn.
And this is done. We're live now.
Yeah.
Now they've run the drills.
I
We're ready to go. They're primed. And, and I guess what I didn't hit was in their warning, the final warning, 2023 cyber apocalypse. They said within 24 months. This was in January. So they're already telling us it's either in 2023 or in 2024. Yeah. And so we're in April, basically May now.
Right.
So it could be this summer. It could be at the end of 2024. But regardless, you have roughly, I'd say 3 to 18 months before they pull it. And I mean, they're going to pull it and it's going to take down the grid.
And how do you prepare for that?
How do you prepare? Physical item preparedness, financial preparedness, mind and body. You need physical items. You need your water. You need your food. You need firearms. You need, you got to protect all of it, right? Yeah. You need medicine. You need something to stay warm, to stay cool, and you need hygiene items. And think of anything you need to live, to exist normally, and you need to buy that. That's why I dropped $30K on this shit, because
that's crazy.
I'm not going to put money into something that I don't, not truly
exactly
convinced on. No, this shit is.
I see why you're so convinced on it, because I was like, we were talking about how COVID is like COVID was planned and all that, and they're like, I don't know, like, bro, they ran tests before COVID happened, but I couldn't really explain too much because I didn't understand it like that. But now I see how it's adding up, and I'm sure there's been tests for other things.
There have,
like before COVID, one of the major events that happened, whatever, where they ran tests for it and it happened. But damn, bro,
they've run it. It's real. It's happening.
Jesus.
And so as Dee was saying, physical preparedness, any physical item from food, water, hygiene. You got to shit, by the way, right? Yeah. What are you going to shit when your water's not running? I mean, it's so detailed, so many things you have to buy. It costs a lot of money, but I'd say get 3 months if you don't have too much money to blow. Get 3 months worth of everything, right? And then don't devote your life to it. You know, it took me 18 months because I got really deep into it and I spent a shitload. But I'm good to go for a very long time. Seeds and stuff. That's like next level prepping. Right, but get your basics, your physical items, right? Financially, have cash at home. I'm not saying you need to have 50 grand at home. That's probably not even a good idea. But have a grand or a few grand if you can afford to keep. If you can do 3 grand at home. Fantastic. Keep that. Do it in 20s and 50s. 100s sometimes are too hard, but have some hundreds, whatever. Have some denominations of it, right? Have some gold, some silver as well, because that was the last thing that's going to hold value. So physical cash and bullion, gold and silver. And psychologically, you have to be ready. If you're not ready psychologically for such an event,
you'll crumble.
You're going to crumble. This is going to test people, by the way. And forget us. I think
that's
we'll
what they
do
want,
fine because we seem like decently functional individuals. I'm trying to be nice to people who are not. Imagine your average zombie individual today who could not live without.
That believes the government wants to help you.
And those people are going to be against you, by the way. So your average zombie individual, imagine now when their video games get cut, their internet gets cut, their social media gets cut, their porn gets cut, or whatever the fuck these people do. When all that shit gets cut, if you think they're already psychotic now, wait till they lose the only thing that's keeping them sane. Or semi-sane. Those people are going to be an issue. And then again, that's why you need firearms, because these people are going to go crazy. They won't know where to start. It's going to get so ugly. So again, keep a balance in life, right? Don't go full prepper, fucking go buy a cabin in the woods and be like, tinfoil hat, the world's going to end. No, the world's not ending. It's never going to end. I mean, in 4 billion years it will, right?
Our freedom will end.
But your freedom will end. The world we see now is coming to an end unless people do something. But at this point, I believe everyone's been so zombified, become such a fucking retard vegetable. People have gone so brain dead because they're too busy watching Kardashian's ass or some shit. I mean, everything. I'm not even going to go into details of what people watch, but through TikTok, Snapchat, all this bullshit, people have become absolute vegetables, goldfish. It's too easy, honestly.
Yeah.
And you wonder, well, this stuff's, why is it so easy to prove this stuff? Because they put it out there. Why do they put it out there? Because who the hell's actually going to read it?
Yeah.
Because we don't have attention spans anymore, nor do we give a shit about what's happening. It's more important who's winning fucking March Madness, or what Kim did to Chloe, or what Charlie D'Amelio fucking said to Bryce Hall. Or I'm assuming,
and then even
that's right.
And then even more to it is the fact that they put it out there to almost make it look like they're trying to help us. Oh, we're preparing for this.
Exactly.
And then we're trying to push more environmental and friendly things when it's all in their agenda.
Yep.
And if you just go back enough in time and add everything up, it's gonna make sense.
It's admittal and cover up at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely genius. Again, evil people. I totally, disagree with what they're doing.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you go into town or at work and you look at the people that surround you, you're like, fuck it. Launch the cyber attack, dude. Shut the system down. I can't wait because everyone is such a dumb piece of shit today. It's going to be fun.
I bet it feels good to be you because you're prepared.
Hey, you guys have time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said,
Yeah.
If you once you get to that prep level and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do 2 years worth.
Exactly.
Just get to 3 months. Again, this isn't going to last. They're not hitting the grid for a year or half a year or even a quarter. This was probably going to last a few days to about 3 weeks.
That's
right?
crazy.
But again, that's a horrible scenario.
Yeah.
If this lasts 3 weeks, imagine 3 weeks
bro.
with the grid down.
Facts.
So
yeah, I think we got your point. Do you have anything else that you kind of want to throw out there?
Enjoy
life.
life. Right. Prep.
While you have it.
Again, it shouldn't take you too long.
Yeah.
You should only have to spend a week to maybe, if you're ordering stuff online, a month. Yeah. It should take you 1 month, 30 days only. Just 30 days to get prepped and then enjoy life. Keep grinding, right?
Right.
Because again, none of this is set in stone. It can always be delayed. I mean, at this point, it's almost as likely as the sun coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
It would.
I see that now.
Yeah, it would take a miracle for this to be stopped now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you can't just let it consume you. So enjoy, keep progressing in life, do your work, do your schooling, make as much money as you can, invest, but, get ready and maintain that balance. You can't, because if you go down the rabbit hole and you become that one of these tinfoil hatters in the fucking woods that, the world's coming over, you're going to become weird and go nuts. So you can't. You have to balance life out, but enjoy it because you don't have many months left to enjoy. Yeah. You have 3 to 18 months max for the major cyber attack, and our grid is going down. Jesus. That's all you got.
Hey,
so enjoy.
That's wild.
He brought the facts for everybody. We do got to head out here because D has to go to work.
It's perfect timing, 2 hours.
But yeah, 2 hours in, he said anything he could have said to wake people up, have people understand how serious this is.
And research it yourself.
Exactly. Trust but verify, like I said.
Exactly.
Dior. D, do you have anything else you want to say?
I want to say, I think we're fucked. Yeah, right? I want to invite you to another podcast so we can talk about the other stuff.
Bro, facts. So we can really go into like how to prepare and just talk about that.
We should do a whole episode on shit. We're gonna have a series.
Bro,
yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. You're gonna be in there.
Get a series.
We keep bringing high quality shit.
Hell yeah, bro. That's
series.
Bro, you really brought the fat.
That's more Fugazi bullshit to keep you distracted. I don't want to sit on
bro.
others episodes.
You really brought the facts today. Like I really appreciate that you did that. Like you put in the work. You were texting us every day almost like preparing for this. Just know he's been putting his work behind this. It's not just he just printed this all out in one day. Like he prepared for this like most people wouldn't have done. So you could either trust somebody that's prepared and does the work, does the due diligence, or people that just go off of what they're told. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So trust who you want, but definitely do your own research.
Verify,
prepare,
check it out for yourself.
Prepare. We got all this stuff here. Read all the books he mentioned. Do your own research, like I said.
Don't trust fact checker.
Exactly. There's nothing better than facts. I hope everybody stays safe out there while all this is going on. And yeah, man, just anybody else got anything else to say?
I can't wait for the next one.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be excited too.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate Alex.
Exactly. Just here with the CD experience. Alex, the guest, me and D. I hope everybody has a good day and we'll see y'all next time.
Yo.
Awesome.